family member, a pet, their dog. These dogs don't understand what's happening to them. Fortunately, there are wonderful people who do. The people and the rescue clubs of the American Kennel Club, the largest network of rescue groups and volunteers.
I can hear you guys. Someone went in there and jacked with the programming, and I fixed it.
Not just purebreds. These good people, the AKC.
I don't know why anyone would mess with it. This is supposed to be my time with it.
And it gives people one less thing to worry about, knowing
Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Rowe. In Iraq and need a check? Make one call. That's all. 602-977-1900 and always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch.
What's that?
On Fox Sports 910.
No surprise, at least for some, the Cardinals are firing head coach Cliff Kingsbury. They finished the season, as we all know, 4 wins, 13 losses, was 1-8 at home. They were 3-5 last year at home, 500 the year before that, 2-5 in 1 year before that. 10 wins at home for Cliff Kingsbury in 4 years. Throw in a tie as well, but he is out. The team has also announced that general manager Steve Keim will leave his job to take care of his health. Welcome in on Monday. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar for tonight's Georgia TCU championship game. We'll have it here. We will not be hosting our Monday Night Football promotion as we normally do. However, you're more than welcome to come on down to watch the game, the big game tonight, as we will dive into that a little bit later. A lot to talk about with the Arizona Cardinals, but we will talk to Mark May top of the 3 o'clock hour for a preview. Over the next few hours, we will have a lot of reaction, hopefully some reaction from you as well at 602-260-9191. We will catch up with Rudy Carpenter. We'll catch up with Frank Sanders. We'll catch up with Howard Balzer. I'll catch up with
Mark May.
Mark, I already said that.
Reiterating.
Craig Fooey. Two of those 4 will be coming to us right after Michael Bidwell speaks at 2 o'clock. So lots of questions to get into over the next 3 hours. Why did it take so long? What's the next steps? Is it all about Kyler Murray, who the next coach is? Will it be somebody within, like a Vance Joseph? Will it be somebody out, like a Sean Payton or a Dan Quinn or someone along those lines? Maybe Frank Reich, maybe Leslie Frazier, maybe Harbaugh. Could be so many. And I'm sure everybody has an opinion. I know everyone's talking about around the water cooler when it broke this morning that Cliff Kingsbury is out. I'm not shocked. I've said my piece. That's all I need to say. I can move on. Let's talk Suns.
I think that it was.
I'm serious. I am not going to spend 3 hours talking about Cliff Kingsbury today because we knew this was coming. We did.
We had to know that when you see a team that's got 7 straight losses, lost 9 out of the last 10, and here's the thing that really. I don't know why anybody is surprised that he was fired.
Anybody?
You know what? I don't think so per se, but a lot of everybody's throwing that injury card out there, this card or that card. And I'm like, well, look, he's lost 18 of the last 23 games, guys. There's something broken. It can't be all injuries. It's the way he coaches. It's the risks he takes. It's not taking care of the football. It's unsmart or not very smart football on the offensive side. It's a lack of taking too many risks, too much of a gunslinging attitude, not getting the points, not kicking the ball away on 4th down and playing the field position game. There are so many things I think we've all seen that add up and add up and add up. And on top of that, guys, all of the consistent mistakes week in and week out from not only the offensive side, the defensive side as well, too. So
can I point out one thing, though, before we get too deep in this? You could make a case going into this season that Cliff Kingsbury did a pretty decent job in that the team improved year after year after year.
That is
you
true.
take over a team that I think had 3 wins.
Yes.
You go 5-10-1.
Yep.
Then you go 500. Then you go 11-6. Okay.
Right.
It was 10-1 or whatever it may have been, and then 10-2, whatever it was.
Yep.
Okay, but you could still make a case that 3 of the 4 years weren't bad. record-wise.
They weren't, not at all. But the thing that really is disconcerting, guys, is the way that every one of those years, the first, the second, the third, fourth, how much they faded the last half of the season. And that what that tells me, guys, there's a pattern of not adjusting, not self-evaluating, and that other teams are, no matter how well you do the first half of the year, they're catching up to you. And we saw that big time when the Rams absolutely smoked them in that playoff game, and they were limping into the playoff format last year by losing 5 out of 6.
So can we make a case though with that, Manuch? I'm sorry, Jimmy.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Point of you can have it. You take my time today too. If you
go
want.
ahead.
Can't you make a case that when they kind of dived after all those 3 years, 4 years that you mentioned, injuries played into that?
Sure.
The wear and tear on the season. And I would point my finger to Steve Keim for not making this roster deeper.
That's part of the equation that we have to figure in, Rock.
Yeah.
I think that's a great point that, hey, look, okay, we see these injuries. What can we do to backfill? Are we getting the right kind of free agent? Or do we have the right kind of depth? I watched that second half yesterday against San Francisco and went, that is, I hate to say it, it was the varsity taking on the JV team with a lot of the personnel. I get it, guys were hurt, they're all over, but who are you backfilling with? Who's scouting? Who's in charge of bringing guys in to make sure that you can plug a guy here, plug a guy there? Doesn't have to be an all-pro, but is he a good football player? Is he a good corner? Is he a good linebacker? And on top of that, you look at a lot of the adjustments. Everybody's like, well, Vance Joseph did a great job. No, they were one of the worst as far as giving up points, one of the worst in third down conversions. They were a bad defense, even with the guys that they had when they were healthy. So I think when you look at the whole picture, Steve Keim was a huge part of this. And I actually believe it was Steve Keim that pretty much was the one that started, I call this the gimmick that was, to convince Michael Bidwell, said, look, there's this Kyler Murray kid. He's special. He's talented. He's a freak of nature. Good. But we need somebody to go ahead and that understands the kind of offense he can run. And that guy from Texas Tech, that Cliff Kingsbury, I know he's got a losing record as a coach in college, but he's got this air raid offense. We can make that work. And we all said this, Rock, on draft day. We were there in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a huge risk to put this in the hands of a 5'9", 5'10" quarterback and a coach that has not had success at the professional level. And his teams used to waver and wander at the end of the year too.
This is very important. Okay. Because I know you'll appreciate this. Okay. As it's just been reported that DeMar Hamlin has been discharged from the hospital.
That is the greatest news.
He's heading back to Buffalo, according to Adam Schefter.
Greatest news that we could ever
Sorry, I interrupted you twice now.
No. Well, that's okay. You own the show. I'm just hanging out here. So
stand your ground, Jimmy. Don't just throw that out there.
I did. Manuch, I just want to follow up because you touched on a point, which is, I think, the most interesting point in this entire equation. What did you say about his record at Texas Tech? Never had a winning record. If you go back and take a look at some of the seasons that he had at Texas Tech, what did his teams do? They faded down the stretch.
Sure.
So we should have been, and we talked about it briefly when that hire took place, but not enough. We were pre-warned on what we were going to see. Well, and we got exactly what we got in the NFL is what they got at Texas Tech.
And I think that was a pattern there. We saw it the first couple of years. Last year, guys, I got to tell you, it really stood out because not all those guys were injured. D-Hop was the only guy that was out.
That's right.
Okay, pretty much. And then Kyler was out a couple of games, but he came back.
Yes.
But the line was still beat up a little bit.
They were a little bit.
Like any team, you can make that case probably.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Rock. But I think the other thing on top of that is there's something going on where teams were just flat whooping the Cardinals. And thank God they got enough credit, or I call it a house money, up front to be 10-2.
They did.
And then see that continue. And then the off-field antics of Kyler and the extension of Kyler and Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury. Now, I got to put that on Michael Bidwell. That just was dumb. Just dumb to give Kyler that extension and to give Cliff and Steve the extension for what? So he could have waited a year. I don't know what motivated Michael to do that. I'm still trying to figure out, well, why would you give those two guys an extension? I know they went to the playoffs, but you got hammered. But there's some warts on that piece that we're talking about. So I don't think he evaluated enough. But he'll make the payout and hopefully go after a solid NFL experienced coach to fill the void.
I would say that there's probably buyouts in both of those guys'
Oh,
contracts.
there are.
And so the hit on Bidwell will not be as extreme as maybe some people think it's going to be.
I don't think there's not a buyout on Cliff Kingsbury's contract because he got fired.
Well, but
buyout unless he gets picked up somewhere, but he's got more money than he needs for his life.
Absolutely.
But those guys,
I think I saw somewhere. No one really knows what the number was, but I had looked up today that it was somewhere $5 million a year.
per person. So it's about $10 million per year for Michael Bidwell. $50 million. He's going to get $400 million with the Super Bowl, the TV money, all the above.
Correct.
$50 million to pay those guys out, $10 million apiece. Is not something that I know the people. $50 million. What's nothing? He can pay that out. They move him on.
I doubt he feels this way. I still think this organization is still a mom and pop organization. They were going in the right direction, and then they failed with the Cliff Kingsbury deal. They failed so far with Kyler Murray as the number one pick and trading Rosen and did everything they did to get up there.
Right.
They have not gotten a playoff win yet since they did this.
We all guys, we're sitting there going. We scratched our head for the first year, going, why would you do that? When you have an undersized quarterback, you have a coach that's never been there before. And this GM thing was like Steve Keim's time to make his mark with this. It was out of the box thinking, right?
Yep.
We all agree with that. But we watched. I'm still not convinced that Kyler Murray is a franchise quarterback. He hasn't proven to me
I don't think anybody
one way or the other. So, Michael Bidwell, you learned a lesson. Steve Keim talked you into something.
I don't know if he has learned a lesson. I mean, you think about this team has not had a head coach last longer than 6 years in the 100 years they've owned this team.
Correct.
There has not been a coach longer than 6 years since this team existed.
I'm trying to think.
There's nothing.
Was it Coryell when he was at St. Louis?
Maybe he was 6?
Yeah, because I know Arians was only 5.
Yeah, 6 is the number.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and I think that on top of that, a lot of it is, okay, with your personnel staff, with your GM, are you making sure you keep the right core and you go out after you get the right kind of player for the personnel you have?
I think the fan base is going to be upset if they hire Vance Joseph. We're going to talk about that and the riff that is maybe one of the reasons why Cliff was canned with Kyler Murray. So we'll talk about that as we continue here at the CAZ Sports Bar. It's all about Cliff Kingsbury today. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 9.
It's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. We love providing great food for family gatherings, parties, even work meetings. And we make it simple.
We sure do, no matter what the occasion. At Venezia's, we make catering easy. You can see our entire catering menu online at venezias.com. Or let us know how we can help at one of our 6 locations.
You want the React from people?
Now open.
The React Monday?
To bring Venezia's to your next party.
All right, I'll find it.
Venezia's Pizzeria, a family tradition.
Time to get in on real estate investments. GC Global Capital has financing with no income verification. Call 480-397-9300. GC Global Capital is an Arizona licensed mortgage broker and MLS 1091187. License NV092493. An equal opportunity employer.
Looking for a change in your career? All City Towing is searching for motivated teammates to join their team. Current openings now available in customer service, tow truck operators, yard management, facilities maintenance, and dispatch. Apply online at allcitytowing.com/careers or call 480-833-7278.
If there ever was a time you needed 72 sold, it's now. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy B to tell you that 72 sold has a solution. Everyone knows the home sales market is getting more difficult. The number of sales are down, prices are down, but 72 sold is still getting top dollar for their customers. You're making a mistake if you go the traditional way. So try 72sold.com and get your price, a higher price, only at 72sold.com.
Where will your new Chevy take you this year? Anywhere. It's the perfect time of year to take your next adventure off-road in a powerful Chevy Silverado. Round up the whole gang for some family fun in a Chevy Equinox. Hey kids, let's go. Or take your night on the town by storm in a stylish Chevy Blazer. Make more memories and take on the road ahead. Wherever it leads you. Find new experiences, find new roads. See your Valley Chevy dealers.
The Venture X card from Capital One gives you premium travel benefits, perfect for seeing Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, presented by Capital One. Ooh, I do love her. Earn 5 times miles on flights and 10 times miles on hotels through Capital One Travel.
Enjoy your stay in Suite 13.
Whoa, 13? That's Taylor's lucky number. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Today on Hey Culligan, smooth skin and soft hair comes from where? Here's Mike.
Hey Culligan, I've tried every conditioner, lotion, and body wash known to man, and my skin still feels like sandpaper.
It could be your water, Mike.
Oh, that's harsh.
More like hard water. Are you interested in smart, high-efficiency water softeners from Culligan Water?
Huh?
Want baby smooth skin and soft, luxurious hair?
Yeah, can you hurry? I have a date tonight.
We're already on the way, Mike. Let us help you out with the free in-home water test from the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
It's a React Monday. Call now. 602-260-9191. That's 602-260-9191. Time to vent or praise your team from this weekend's games. React now with Roc and Manuch. Get on the phone now.
Cooper back to Blau. Deep downfield for Green.
Goes Rock.
Is it A.J. Green? Will take it all the way into the end zone, and that is a Cardinals touchdown.
Hello, everybody. That is a true voice guy.
That play was literally a wing it and pray. As Blau throws that up there between two defenders. Hey, finally his 6'4" frame as he had out-jumped both those guys to go up and get that. But otherwise, that's another interception. Not a smart throw. But you know what? Second play of the game.
Yeah.
Why not?
I thought it was great.
There.
I mean, the sideline went nuts, and then Prater misses the field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, the extra point.
Can you believe that?
It's just like you knew, okay, here it is. But overall, with David Blau, I mean, committed 3 turnovers, 14 of 18, had a couple picks, a sack fumble, and his turnovers were at the 18 to 34 and the 28 of the 49ers. I mean, he left the game with that concussion, and then Trace McSorley comes in, and he's just 29 yards and a pick. He's 6 for 9. Oh, man, just a bad day, bad game. Glad the season's over. If you're just joining us, you haven't heard, you don't have a phone, Cliff Kingsbury has been fired. He is no longer the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. So what's next? Is it all about Kyler Murray? That is the question at 602-260-9191. 260-9191 is the phone number if you want to chime in. But is it all about him? Is it bringing in a guy like a Vance Joseph who maybe has a relationship with Kyler? He's just a stopgap for 1 year. And then you know what you have, because no one knows the future. If Kyler Murray is even going to be able to come back and play at the same level that he did before the injury.
Look, guys get ACLs and they come back. Look at Adrian Peterson. Tore his ACL, came back and ran for 1,700 yards. I mean, it's still a critical surgery for professional athletes, but the science now and technology and the medical field are so good that I am not concerned at all about him coming back and be able to run up and down the field.
How'd that work for RG3, Jimmy?
Just because.
How'd that work for RG3?
Because he came back way too soon, and they put him in an unattainable position. So you cannot put him in that position where he comes back too soon.
Let me tell you, whether he comes back too soon or not, he didn't have the cutting ability. He didn't have the ability to take off any kind of ACL, MCL, any kind of injury for a quarterback, a running back, moving quarterback.
Yes.
Now, where Adrian Peterson, he goes more north and south. He's not a cut, jump here, jump there. He can get out to the outside of the perimeter. Kyler Murray's game is a lot of cuts. It's a lot of reverse pivots. It's like stop, start. I mean, there's a lot of. It's almost a basketball kind of a point
similar.
guard.
But But correct me if I'm wrong. Murray's a ACL, MCL, right?
Just ACL.
Just ACL. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow in 20, he had an ACL. He was able to come back.
He still takes off and runs.
Yeah, but it's straight line. His game is not he can roll out, he can waggle.
I understand where you're going with this and the cutting ability, but all I'm contending is that the medical science now, they are so good at making those repairs. I think that he's going to be just fine. Look, we can go to.
It's going to have to be. They gave him an extension.
They did.
Have to be.
We can go to Odell Beckham. He tore his, he came back, and he played the entire season, and then he tears it again in the championship.
Here's what this new coach is going to have to, and you Rock, you talk about, he's part of the equation. He's not the entire equation. This new coach, offensive-minded coach,
is.
hopefully, has got to teach him. He can do his game. Boot, waggle. He's going to have to learn to be an truly successful NFL quarterback on a consistent basis to win from the pocket, to limit his movement, to go more max protect. They can roll him out. They can waggle him. Yes, Joe Burrow does take off once in a while, but he's not going to do a stop-start type of thing. So that's, I think, with the new coach coming and going, look, Kyler, we're going to give you more protection. We're going to give you more pocket presence, but we're going to have to learn you, Kyler Murray, to win, to throw the ball down the field. Now, he could do that.
Yeah,
the protection.
He proved it last year.
He did.
He led the league in long distance shots.
Driving down
and
the
he was
field.
last this year?
Yep. Yeah. So there was a fundamental flaw with maybe the offensive line, whatever it is. But I think from the consistency, that new head coach is going to work. He has to work with Kyler Murray. There's no choice. But you can't revolve everything around, well, Kyler's the guy, so we got to make sure we appease him here, and here.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
I
think that's just the way of this is how sports are now. I mean, it's just the athlete. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyler Murray has a say in who the next head coach is.
Here's the problem: if you're going to do that, that's the tail wagging the dog, and you're setting yourself up
but all the time now. This is life.
Sports that happens.
This is reality. This isn't when you played. You guys, when you played in the 70s and 80s, you guys had no say in anything. Now, the way our world is, these players. You see what happens in the NBA. It's starting to happen in the NFL as well.
Here's what happens if that happens to be the case. Then you'll have a head coach who hires an offensive coordinator that is afraid to call the game he should be calling versus.
Why would you hire him then?
Well, yeah, he may. Okay, then he's got that discussion with Michael Bidwell. Michael, this is what I see. I'd love to be here, but here's what I see with Kyler Murray. I'm going to call the game the way it needs to be dictated, not the way I have to dictate it. With Kyler Murray.
See, I think that's what this job's going to be. Who's the right coach for Kyler Murray instead of what's the right coach for this team moving forward?
And that's going to be. I think it's a big mistake, Rob.
I'm not saying that. I'm not disagreeing with you.
I know
I'm just saying that is reality. I think we have to accept that.
Because
if you believe me or believe people, if they're saying it's all about Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and
this is the franchise. This is the $300 million man.
There you go.
I mean, they're going to do everything in their power to at least give them one more shot at making sure he's going to be the right guy. That's why I think they may put somebody in there like a Vance Joseph and just have him in there for 1 year. And they've done it before. Wilkes and some other coaches where kept
what
him
is
1
Vance
year.
Joseph and what is everybody going to do that you already haven't seen from Kyler Murray
I agree.
to make him to adhere to whatever, the culture, the game plan? Yeah, they know him. They can work with him. My ass. You got it is what it is, to steal a line from Emmitt Smith. I get it. So how are you going to – this is what I do. I got to convince Kyler, if I'm the guy, and under that notion, Rock, I'm going to say, Kyler, this is how we're going to make you a better quarterback within this scheme that we're going to run. We're going to limit you on this, and this. We're going to help you with the running game, number one, our emphasis. That's going to take a lot of heat off of you. We're going to really help you with play action. We're going to have receivers in here. We got 2 tight ends. We feel are pretty good. We're going to make sure we have receivers that, number one, can catch the ball, run the routes. But our emphasis, just so you know, Tyler, will be run the ball, take the ball out of your hands sometimes, because we don't want you to be the best running back and not a good quarterback in the National Football League. So I think if a guy comes in here and says, Kyler, this is how I'm going to make you a better quarterback by what we're going to do on the offense, then he'll buy in and go, okay, because he doesn't want to be out there in harm's way every other day. I mean, hell, he can't last an entire season in 4 years.
I think it needs to be something like a Byron Leftwich.
It could be.
Former quarterback.
Okay.
Guy had some success. You know what he's done in Tampa. You know what he did when he was here. If Tampa Bay will let him go. But, it seems like that's his next move. And let's not forget about the Rooney Rule. And they're going to have to get that right. And they're going to have to interview a lot of different guys for that.
And I think, Jack, you brought this up a little earlier. Kenny Dorsey, the offensive coordinator at Buffalo. You got Josh. Josh sounds very similar, can run, can throw, but he can win from the pocket. He's got a phenomenal arm, win from the pocket. But Dorsey understands that the only problem in Buffalo is they don't have a running game.
That is correct.
They're doing this with smoke and mirrors with Josh Allen, and God bless him, he's just a hit away from getting knocked out in the game. But I could see a Dorsey going, okay, you're similar to what Josh does, we did in Buffalo. I can bring that philosophy. I can bring that here. I got to make sure I got a couple running backs because I don't want to put this 5'10" guy, 200 pounds on the perimeter every other play and him get hurt. You don't want to put your guy in harm's way. Now, Josh Allen, 6'6", 250, can take a pounding. Yeah, but it always catches up to everybody at one place or the other.
I think Rock's got a good point with Byron Leftwich, though. He's been here before. He's got a relationship with Bidwell.
But you don't know if it was a good one or a bad one.
Yeah, we don't know that.
And he's had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time during his offense to that scheme. Now, that's part of that. And Kyler might like this. Part of his offense is the philosophy of Bruce Arians. No risk, no biscuit. Likes to drive the ball down the field.
Absolutely.
Drive the ball.
Hey, Bruce Arians could totally help Kyler Murray. If there's ever a head coach out there that could help him, it would be him. He would probably be number one.
And with Byron Leftwich's philosophy of Bruce Arians, that could help him to say, look, Kyler, we're going to back off a little bit. We're going to give you more time. Let's stretch it more. Because if things break down, you can run and go make a play. Brady can't run and go make a play. Palmer couldn't go run and make a play. In fact, Palmer used to get pummeled, but he'd get those 2 shots a game. He'd get hammered, and the Cardinals would win by 12, 14 points, whatever it was.
Either way, in my humble opinion, I believe that Kyler Murray is going to have a say in this hire. I hate it. I don't like it. Okay. I hate the way that sports is going in that direction, but that is going to be the case. That is kind of why I'm leaning towards a Byron Leftwich, if he is a guy that would even interview for the position, if it's available, because he may be sitting there saying, I want this Tampa Bay job after a year.
I was just thinking about that, too.
Well, you got the former assistant GM, you got Light there in Tampa Bay that will consult with Byron to say, look, if you go and interview for this, if you do, we're just speculating, folks, here's the heads up with Michael Bidwell, that organization, and all that, just to make sure your eyes are wide open when you go and interview a situation.
It's interesting. There's 5 NFL jobs now that need new head coaches: Panthers, Colts, Broncos, Texans, and Cardinals. So 2 today were fired. You still may see the Titans. You may see the Rams, believe it or not. Falcons, Bucks, Cowboys, and Raiders are all maybes. What if they're going to hire just Vance Joseph for 1 year and then wait for someone else that's going to probably get knocked off, like a Sean McVay? I would love a Sean McVay.
Yeah, he'd be awesome if he's available.
I'm not saying he will, but hey, we've seen stranger things happen. Not the Cardinals can do something like that, like a Gruden and trading for picks and all that stuff. Yeah, just not forget. Everybody keeps talking about Sean Payton, but you still got to give up a bunch to get him. I think people forget that. People tend to forget that.
I don't see the Cardinals doing that.
I don't either. Yeah. I don't either. And Harbaugh, I like the Harbaugh idea, but I don't know if that'll happen either. But hey, we're going to catch up Rudy Carpenter. He's going to join us. We'll get his thoughts. We're going to have Howard Balzer join us today, Craig Philly join us today, Mark May, and Frank Sanders. So we got a full lineup of guests to give you their opinions on Cliff Kingsbury being fired and Steve Keim basically parting ways with the organization. But I have a feeling that he's going to stay within the organization after he gets his head right and what he needs to do, and then his health issues, and go from there. So we'll catch up with Rudy Carpenter next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B from CAZ Sports Bar. It's Fox Sports 910.
This is what's trending on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix.
The Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Keim era of Cardinals football is over, with a 4-13 season serving as the backbreaker after both signed a contract extension less than a year ago. Damar Hamlin of the Bills is out of the hospital. Doctors caring for him at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center say Hamlin is back in Buffalo, starting the next phase of his recovery. Arizona dropped out of the top 5 of the latest USA Today men's basketball coaches poll. They're number 9 after Saturday's loss to Washington State. ASU is 13-3 after yesterday's win over Washington. The Sun Devils did not receive any votes this week. I'm Frank Garrity on Fox Sports 910, available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe, and we've done it again. For the 7th year in a row, Lerner Rowe has been voted best personal injury law firm in Arizona. Most recently, 9 out of 10 voters voted for Lerner Rowe. That's right. We received over 90% of the votes. Why are we so popular? Probably because our offices have recovered billions of dollars for our clients, recovering millions of dollars every week in Arizona. When you're looking for the best personal injury law firm in Arizona, look no further than Lerner & Rowe.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Sun Devil men's basketball is better in person. Catch the Sun Devils when they return to Desert Financial Arena to face the nationally ranked UCLA Bruins Thursday, January 19th. And enjoy Kevin Shiflett, the chin balancer, at halftime. The USC Trojans come to Nedwell Court Saturday, January 21st to close out the weekend. Get your tickets today by calling 480-965-5812 or go online to sundeviltickets.com. Sun Devil men's basketball, onward to victory.
Shopping for a mortgage? Big banks can be a big hassle. Call GC Global Capital and work with a local team of mortgage experts for great rates and lower fees, more options and faster closings. Don't let your dream home purchase turn into a nightmare. Call the professionals at GC Global Capital, 480-397-9300. GC Global Capital, your local mortgage professionals.
GC Global Capital is an Arizona licensed mortgage broker. NMLS 1091187. License MB 0924983. An equal opportunity lender.
The right price, the right selection. It's all now at Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. Stop by today and see why Wright Toyota continues to be Arizona's top Toyota dealership, located just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard and online at wrighttoyota.com.
The annual big game viewing parties are set again in the showroom at Casino Arizona and the Ballroom and Talking Stick Resort, Sunday, February 12th. Plenty of cash and prizes to be had. First come, first served. Head to rockandmanuch.com for more details.
The NFL playoff picture is locked in, and your go-to place for wildcard round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat bet each day of the wild card round this weekend. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action so good, why bet NFL playoffs anywhere else? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 910. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code 910. 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Bonus issued is free bets. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NFL bet up to $10. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
Intelligence runs in the family. Innovation runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs. Every member is waiting to impress. Learn more at nbusa.com.
Avast ye homeowners! Are ye plagued by foreclosure? Well, here at Jim Ladd and Matey, we can stop your foreclosure now. We're a mortgage rescue company, and for the small fee of everything you hold dear, we will negotiate with your lender on your behalf, and we guarantee results. Guarantee results. Aye, the bird speaks the truth. Them's be the benefits of working with a true professional. So don't dilly-dally about. Listen to the wise counsel of your old pal, Honest Jim. He can't be trusted. Call Jim Ladd and Matey at 1-800-YAR-YAR. That's 1-800-YAR. YAR.
If you're facing foreclosure, make sure you're talking to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE. That's 888-995-HOPE. Brought to you by NeighborWorks America and the Ad Council.
Here to talk football is former Sun Devil quarterback, who, by the way, went 3-1 against that team in Tucson.
Carpenter going to go up with time, steps up, looks end zone, got a man, McGahee, touchdown! And Rudy Carpenter threw that right into the teeth, into the strength of the Wildcat defense.
Rudy Carpenter, now on Roc and Manuch.
What's hot?
Sports 910 on FM at 99.9 HD2.
Well, Cliff's out, as many of us figured that would be the case. Just didn't know when, but why. Rudy Carpenter joins us now on the Right Toyota guest line here on Fox Sports 910. How we doing today, Rudy? What's going on here on a Black Monday in the National Football League? What's up, Rudy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Sorry if I cut out. I'm doing great.
Hey, I wanted to get your thoughts on this, of course. Everyone's talking about it. And just the why. What do you think it was that really was the final straw for Michael Bill to make this move?
Well, I think it's a pretty simple answer. I mean, you have to ask yourself as an organization every time you end the season, you have to ask yourself the players that we have in this locker room and the coaching staff that we have in this locker room or in this building, is this coaching staff capable of getting every ounce out of all of these players? And if we're really being honest, I think it comes down to one simple relationship. And Cliff Kingsbury, is there anything more that Cliff can do to extract out of Kyler Murray what we need? for him to be the franchise quarterback that we gave almost $250 million to. And I think when Michael Bidwell looks at that, I think he says, I don't believe that Cliff is the guy who is going to be able to maximize Kyler Murray's potential. We need to start over fresh. And to be quite honest with you, I think Cliff, based on all the things regarding Steve Keim, based on, in my view, some of the things around Kyler Murray, I don't think that Cliff was necessarily put in the best position to succeed. But at the end of the day, this is the NFL, stands for not for long, and these are the things that go on. And the great coaches are able to adjust, and it just wasn't what Cliff was able to do. But with that said, Dan, I really think that Kyler didn't help him at all.
Yeah, I'd agree. And when we kind of broke down the last year and a half, Rudy, when you looked at it, this year the 7 straight losses and losing 9 out of 10. But the thing that struck me, and Kyler was a big part of this, they lost 18 of the last 23 games, Rudy. I mean, that's injuries, Kyler the majority of those. So something just wasn't clicking. To your point, you're paying this kid a lot of money. So our think tank here, Roc and Manuch and Jimmy B with Jax, is, okay, so do you look to go get a guy to appease Kyler Murray, or a guy that can work and get Kyler to the next level despite Kyler's attitude or where his game is at?
Look, Dan, here's I'll answer your question, but I'm going to answer your question with this comment first. And I don't think that you need to go any deeper than this when you're talking about the Arizona Cardinals and their situation. You don't need to go any deeper than Kyler Murray's contract extension and the study clause in it. That tells you everything that organization believes about Kyler Murray. That tells you everything you need to know. Now, everybody went and made this a deal about something else. But when you have a study clause, when a team drafts you number 1 overall, that's them obviously telling you that we absolutely believe in your abilities as a player. We absolutely believe that. But when you put a study clause in somebody's contract that you're about to give that much money to, it's not essentially. What you are saying is we don't believe that this player understands what it is to be a franchise professional quarterback. So we're going to have to force him to learn how to become one. That's an indictment on Kyler, but it's also an indictment on the organization as a whole. So to me, I just don't think you need to go any deeper than that. How are you going to reward a guy with a $500 million contract? A $500 million contract, and you have to put in his deal that he has to study a certain amount. I guarantee you, Dan, you wouldn't have to put something like that in Brock Purdy's contract.
No way.
You wouldn't have to put something like that in there. And to me, it's why, he is doing what he's doing right now. And it goes back to everything else. You can't, this is the problem with Steve Keim, and it's the problem with a lot of NFL offices. You can't, the things that make these players great are things that are very, very, very difficult to measure. You can measure hand size and height, weight, speed, and arm talent, and all of these things. That's not difficult to do, but it's really hard to judge somebody's instincts, and it's really hard to evaluate their football IQ. It's very difficult to evaluate how they handle stress and anxiety and pressure and fear of failure. And these are all things that are what makes quarterbacks very, very, very either special or not. And so to me, it's as simple as that. I mean, it is literally as simple as that in that organization. And we can talk about all the things in the rumor mill of Steve Keim. But look, when you have a GM who's absent, and then on top of that, you have a quarterback, you got to put a study clause in his $500 million contract too. There's no way as an owner, you look at that and say, yep, we are set up for success. To me, it's absolutely crazy that someone could think that.
Rudy Carpenter is our guest on the, the Toyota guest line. I'm real curious then. I want to follow up then on what you just said. If that's the way that you perceive everything, do you hire from within with Vance Joseph, who knows Murray, or do you go outside and find someone there, Rudy? And if that's the case, is that person going to be able to handle Kyler Murray then? I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know. But here's what I do know. I do know that playing quarterback in the NFL requires a lot of mental toughness. It requires a lot of physical toughness. It's very stressful. It's very difficult. You have to learn how to deal with failure. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. And to me, to have a coach that wants to be your buddy, that wants to be your friend, that doesn't have that. That's what Cliff and Kyler didn't have. They had the peer-to-peer relationship. They had the buddy-to-buddy relationship. They never had the coach-to-player relationship. It's one thing when you look at Tampa Bay right now. When you look at Tom Brady and Byron Leftwich, does that look like a coach-player relationship to you? Or does that look like a coach who's totally defeated by a player who was better than him his whole career, has been in the NFL longer than him, and literally tells that coach what to do? The point is a lot of people want that same type of treatment. You heard Russell Wilson recently, they brought it up that he has his own office in the locker room or in the building, and how crazy that was. That's everywhere you go in the NFL with these good quarterbacks. They have their own parking spots. They have their own offices in the building, and that's because they're there more than anybody else.
Sure.
That's because that's what they've earned. The problem with Kyler is Kyler believes he's earned that status already. He believes he's that guy already, but he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He hasn't won an MVP. He hasn't done any of the things that a guy like Tom Brady has, which to me, when you reward a guy that early, when you reward him that early, you just lost your biggest carrot. You just lost your biggest stick. And to me, had they waited and said, hey, Kyler, if you want to cry, go cry in the corner over there. If you want to whine and miss practice, go whine and miss practice in the corner over there. Whatever you want to do, Kyler, go do it over there away from this football team. But you still have 2 years left on your deal, plus a couple franchise tags if we wanted to. So you know what? We're going to make this contract decision when the season's over. Let's see how you do. If they would have done that and now they're reevaluating, do they still sign him? I don't know.
It's going to be a fun offseason. That's for sure.
Is.
It absolutely will be. Rudy, as always, buddy, thanks so much. As we let you go, TCU or Georgia tonight?
I'm taking Georgia, but I hope it's a good game.
Yeah, I do too. That's okay. Everybody wants a good game.
Yes.
We're going to continue on. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar. Always appreciate Rudy Carpenter for joining us here. But we are going to continue talking about Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury out as the head coach of your Arizona Cardinals. We'll have our plays of the week. I should say last night's Valley Chevy Dealers play of the night. We'll have plays of the week later if we have time for that, as well as on this day. We'll continue on as Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
It's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. We love providing great food for family gatherings, parties, even work meetings. And we make it simple.
We sure do, no matter what the occasion. At Venezia's, we make catering easy. You can see our entire catering menu online at venezias.com. Or let us know how we can help at one of our 6 locations, including the newest, now open in Chandler.
We'd love to bring Venezia's to your next party. Venezia's Pizzeria, a family tradition.
Where will your new Chevy take you this year? Anywhere. It's the perfect time of year to take your next adventure off-road in a powerful Chevy Silverado. Round up the whole gang for some family fun in a Chevy Equinox. Hey kids, let's go. Or take your night on the town by storm in a stylish Chevy Blazer. Make more memories and take on the road ahead, wherever it leads you. Find new experiences, find new roads. See your Valley Chevy dealers.
The big one is almost here, and the only place year after year to watch it is either in the showroom in Casino, Arizona, and in the ballroom at Talking Stick Resort. The team at Fox Sports 910 will be giving away the cash just for watching the big game, as this year marks our 22nd consecutive season hosting the game of the year. You can win cash at both locations. It's the return of our kickoff jackpot. That'll be nearly $4,000 at both locations. Plus, you receive free $25 squares, along with the chance at winning $100 propositions. Doors open at 2 at both locations, but space is limited, so it's first come, first served. Don't be shut out. Just be 21 or older and be present in the showroom at Casino, Arizona, or the ballroom at Talking Stick Resort. This is the only way to watch the big game. Full-service lounges, great game menus, and tons of ways to win cash. It's Fox Sports 910's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.S. Big Game Viewing Parties at both in the showroom at Casino Arizona and in the ballroom at Talking Stick Resort.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Some people got COVID and thought, well, that wasn't such a big deal. But you can get COVID again, and next time it could be worse, especially for those 50 and older, or with a chronic condition like heart disease or diabetes. But with an updated vaccine, you have better protection from COVID's worst outcomes. And that's a big deal. Find updated COVID vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B want to take you back.
If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past.
A quick reflection on some of the more memorable moments in sports and pop culture.
Gotta get back in time.
Time for your 72 Sold on This Day report. Get our price, a higher price at 72sold.com.
One of the game's greatest players has engaged a variety of acts which have stained the game, and he must now live with the consequences of those acts. By choosing not to come to a hearing before me, and by choosing not to proffer any testimony or evidence contrary to the evidence and information contained in the report of the special counsel to the commission, Mr. Rose has accepted baseball's ultimate sanction, which is lifetime ineligibility.
That's Bart Giamatti. 1991, baseball officially bans Pete Rose from being elected into the Hall of Fame for betting on baseball.
Remember it well. I did.
What do you remember about that, Jimmy? Did the earth stop? Did the world stop?
No.
Did you remember what you had for breakfast?
I do, as a matter of fact. Here's the thing about that is that Giamatti, who later came out and said, I hated Rose.
Mr. Rose.
And Mr. Rose.
Yeah, I love what he said.
Yeah,
that.
Mr.
Rose.
And it was a case where then people thought, well, this was just a hateful situation, which was why he banned him permanently. Rose then came back and said that he could, after a while, apply for reinstatement, which he has done, but then he just kept on lying. And so now he'll never get in.
I realize if he stopped lying,
yes, if you would have done that,
he might have a chance. Yeah, he might have a chance.
Yeah,
but there was ill will between Giamatti and him.
Oh,
and there was friction. There was ill will, and a lot of folks, you seem, hey, it was very personal. Well, how couldn't it be personal? But he was on par to say, yeah, we've got the goods on you, Pete.
Yep.
Do you want to come clean? If you continue not to come clean, we're going to ban you no matter what, no matter how many times you apply, till you completely come clean. And tell us we've got the goods.
Yeah, we got everything.
Okay, we had the footage. We saw you take that cookie out of the cookie jar. It wasn't the gremlins like when it, and we got you. So what do you want to do? And that's he finally came clean, and now he's
but it took him years to finally do that.
Real quick, I'll squeeze a couple more in. Patrick Ewing on this day in 2001 when he was with the Seattle Supersonics. I had forgotten that Patrick Ewing played for the Supersonics.
I did too.
I had to do a double take when I saw that this morning. He scored his 24,000th career point, becoming the 13th player in NBA history to reach that point. 2006, Kobe Bryant scored 45 points against Indiana, making him the first player since Wilt Chamberlain in 64 to score at least that many in 4 straight games. Peyton Manning in 2010 became the first player to win the AP NFL Most Valuable Player for the 4th time. How about that?
Yep.
And then how about Carson Wentz? He was out since mid-October. He had a broken wrist. He was playing for North Dakota State, and he brings him back, wins the FC Championship, an unprecedented 5th straight as they beat Jacksonville State 37-10. There you have it on this day, brought to you by 72 Sold. Go to 72 Sold, get your price, a higher price at 72 Sold. Let's get to our Valley Chevy Dealers Play of the Night. Play of the Night, we do it every day here on Roc and Manuch. as we're going to take you back to the Bills over the Pats in honor of Damar Hamlin, who, if you have not heard, has been released from the hospital. He is back in Buffalo now, and he is going to hopefully make a lot of progress. He is making progress, but he had been walking since Friday, eating regular food, undergoing therapy. They said he was pretty much normal.
Getting back to
a normal recovery.
That's great.
That is such awesome news to hear that they said all of his vitals, body functions, you name it, are pretty much normal at this point. Now it was a case of monitoring him over the weekend before they were going to release him.
So I had some conversations yesterday, and this is going to sound somewhat insensitive, and I don't want anybody to take it insensitive, but it was just a couple guys sitting at the bar, and, having some beers, and this was, early, okay? So it wasn't like late having a few beers and White Claws and whatever it was.
So you were still coherent.
Absolutely, yeah. But
was it your first Bloody Mary?
Just having a discussion on how the NFL does everything so big. And did it go too big with Hamlin in the number 3 jerseys for everybody? Knowing that on Friday, he'd been walking around, eating regular food. He's been doing quite well. Now you find out that he's out of the hospital. We all know what happened last Monday. We all saw it. We knew that 24, 48, 6, 72 hours was crucial. But it's all gone in the right direction. And thank God, thank for the prayers, everything to make that happen. But on that sensitive or insensitive level, there was just some discussion on, no one wanted to say, man, NFL's taking this to a way too big of a level, because no one wants to say that, even though I think some of us thought that, wow, every coach, every single player, everyone on every sideline was decked out with number 3.
Yeah, my thought on that, Rock, is that we saw an individual almost die on the field. We saw a group of individuals come together to revive him. He basically died on the field to revive him. So I thought it was not only for Hamlin, but all the people involved, for the 2 teams, for the folks of Buffalo to acknowledge this almost catastrophic event that happened, to go ahead and bring some light to the situation, cardiac arrest, the health, and all the people involved. I thought it was almost a tribute to all the individuals that helped out in his recovery that was going on.
And I agree with that. I'm just, I think some of the discussion, and again, everybody's trying to be PC too at the same time. Saying, okay, Buffalo could have done that, and Buffalo could have done it, and they did, did it to a high level, and we'll get to our plays here in a second. But, for the Packers head coach and the Detroit head coach and everybody else, if someone had gotten paralyzed, God forbid, if something like that happened on a Monday night, would the NFL do the same thing?
Well, it did happen. Darryl Stingley back in the New England Patriots.
Did it go to that point?
Yeah.
No, I think if when there was a life that Darryl Stingley's, they stabilized him so his life wasn't threatened with the paralyzation. A guy's life was threatened. So I felt that the community, the fraternity of the National Football League was the key to reach out for everybody.
I want to preface it by saying,
sure,
I be insensitive about
I
it.
understand the question, and to be honest with you, I think it's a valid question. I really do.
I never thought twice about it. I didn't
either.
I didn't at first. I thought this is super cool.
Yes.
And then when you hear all the great stories that are coming about his recovery, and then you're seeing it's going into the night games and, in the afternoon games. And then I didn't know everybody was doing it.
Right.
Maybe it's just a patch. Okay. And then you move forward and you say a prayer at the beginning of the game and you move on.
You have to remember the guy died on the field.
Yeah, I get it.
He died on the field. Yes. And they brought him back. Manuch, you talk all the time about it being a fraternity, a brotherhood. I think
it affects everybody.
Yes, and I think I did not have an issue with what the NFL did.
Yeah.
Now, there's no more reason to continue it, but I thought what the NFL did the entire week and the way that fans responded and players responded and owners responded by making contributions to what he was hoping. He was trying to raise $2,500. And he's got over $8 million now in his charity.
There lies the blessing in disguise.
Real quick, let's play the first play of the game, the Hines 96-yard kickoff return to get it all started on Sunday.
We're underway as New England decided to defer after winning the toss. And here's Hines on the run back.
breaking a tackle and taking it past midfield, and down the sideline he goes. This is storybook, an opening kickoff return for Damar Hamlin, and this place is absolutely going wild.
He followed up lines with another 101-yard kickoff return as Buffalo went on to win that game over the Pats. Today's play of the night, play of the day, that is, brought to you by the Valley Chevy Dealers. Your Valley Chevy dealers serving the Valley for over 80 years. Find new roads at your Chevy dealer. Head to valleychevy.com. We got a lot coming up. We're going to continue talking about Cliff Kingsbury out as the Cardinals head coach. It's Fox Sports 910.
Attention grillers. Is it time to replace that old grill in your backyard? Need to step up your game? Your chance to win a new one is right now. Just text PEAKS to 55678. That's PEAKS 55678. And you will be entered to win a customized backyard grill patio set, courtesy of Twin Peaks, Blue Moon, and Coors Light. You can enter once a day. Standard message and data rates apply. That's PEAKS to 55678.
Looking for the perfect gift for your lady? Guys, us girls love anti-aging laser facials. And right now, you need to go to miracleskinlaserspa.com and get her a gift card as they are running a $100 holiday special. That's 50% off. You need to jump on it now. Miracle Skin Laser Spa is located in the Paradise Valley Aesthetics offices at 32nd Street, just north of Cactus. Head to miracleskinlaserspa.com and take advantage of this incredible holiday special.
No one has the same taste as you. You're damn right. From the music you love to the podcasts you can't live without, and only the iHeartRadio app has it all for free. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
iHeartRadio. The NFL playoff picture is locked in, and your go-to place for wildcard round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat bet each day of the wild card round this weekend. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action so good, why bet NFL playoffs anywhere else? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 910. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code 910. 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Bonus issued as free bets. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NFL bet up to $10. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
If you're 50 or older,
COVID can be deadly.
that's why getting an updated COVID vaccine is so important.
Lowering my risk, I'm up for that. We can do this. Find updated COVID vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Ever wonder what your dog does all day?
I wonder what that sock tastes like. God, I hate cats. Wow, look at that. I can lick my...
Hey, man's best friend needs a good time, too. Duke's on Miller and McDowell is located right on the Greenbelt, has 3 huge patios, and is extremely dog-friendly. Grab a burger and a nice cold beer, a bowl of water, and enjoy all that Scottsdale's favorite sports bar has to offer.
Where Goose? Miller and McDowell, Scottsdale! Broadcasting from the Superbook.com studio. Superbook Sports, now live. This is KGME Phoenix, KESC HD2 Phoenix, an iHeart radio station. Available everywhere on our free iHeart Radio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Here's what's trending on Fox Sports 910.
The search is on for a new head coach and GM for the Cardinals after the firing of Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim officially stepping down from his role. The organization is taking a long look at defensive coordinator Van Joseph as a possible coaching candidate. Damar Hamlin of the Bills is out of the hospital. Doctors caring for him at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center say he is back in Buffalo starting the next phase of his recovery.
Hey, you guys there?
Arizona dropped out of the top 5 of the latest USA Today men's basketball coaches poll, checking in at number 9 this week after Saturday's shocking loss to Washington State. I'm Frank Arity on Fox Sports 910, available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
Now's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Check. That's check. Enter it now at foxsports910.com.
This is the Parker.
Okay, so during the second segment, I'm going to be frantically just like on Twitter and stuff and trying to grab audio from Bidwell and stuff. So I'll keep you guys posted.
With increasing clouds for tonight, those temperatures dipping into those upper 40s with partly cloudy skies. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Ty Brennan.
This report is sponsored by Pfizer. When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with GB. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing and is powered by the injury attorneys Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call. That's all. 602-977-1900 and always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch.
Guys are hot.
On Fox Sports 910.
Guards fire Cliff Kingsbury. Steve Keim has stepped away to focus on his health. Welcome in, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B out here at the CAZ Sports Bar as we get you ready for Georgia and TCU at 5:30 for the national championship from SoFi in California.
Oh, by the way,
Los Angeles.
national title game tonight on the heels of the Cliff Kingsbury firing.
You know, the thing is if this didn't happen today, I think the narrative on all sports talk today in Phoenix would be this team that's under 500 in the NBA.
Sure,
and the Phoenix Suns. Mm-hmm. I mean, this has been really difficult to watch, and I'm very surprised that they are not trying to make some trades, bring up some guys. When you when you are led by a guy who was undrafted just a year ago out of Ohio State, and he is just having a career night because he's the only one that can shoot.
Yep.
And it's just ridiculous to me that they've gotten themselves in this situation that Dwayne Washington Jr. is your guy, scoring 25 points, and he's off the bench.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, why isn't he starting? Why they've seen him do that several times? Why is Landry Shamet? They can't hit the water from the boat right now. I mean, that's consistent.
He's the best player on the floor.
I know
for the Phoenix Suns. Well, and I don't think a lot of people know much about him, other than he was born in Germany, played at Ohio State. His dad played in the league. His his uncle, is Derek Fisher.
Yep.
He was real close with Kobe Bryant. Yep. There's not a lot of people know about this guy. And here he is on a two-way contract.
Well,
making the best of it.
They haven't sent him down, have they?
You imagine there's nobody healthy on this team.
Hey, that's why he's playing.
You know what? And Jimmy, I defer to you. I mean, I watched the game Miami Friday night. That was so hard to watch the fourth quarter. And then watch that game last night. If not for your boy Landale, to score 25 points in 2 minutes or something like that in the fourth quarter, they get blown out again. The Miami game, at least it was competitive to a point. Miami was really off in that fourth quarter. But the Suns would come down, and I swear to God, how many quasi dribbles going to the basket did DeAndre Ayton lose getting the ball down low?
But he also just had a bad day of shooting. He did for 16.
Yes.
He rolled his ankle.
He did.
Didn't even play in the fourth quarter. That's also some bad news. And by the way, when he rolled his ankle, the Suns were actually leading.
Yes, yeah.
They were there.
They were only up by a point, but they were up.
Here's what's going to happen, though, is that right now, when you talk about,
we weren't going to talk about the Suns.
I know, but we are.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. For at least this moment, when you saw the lineup that the Suns had out on the court, starting lineup, okay, who is the guy who is more apt to score for the Phoenix Suns? It's DeAndre Ayton.
Absolutely.
So as soon as he touches the ball, what do the other teams do? They quickly double him to force him to kick it out or force him to take a difficult shot. And then with him getting hurt, rolling the ankle, things just spiraled out of control. Right now, and I have mentioned this and I'll repeat it one more time, There is one star player on the Phoenix Suns. That is Devin Booker. The rest are Chris Paul is still a good player.
And he's out for a while.
And he's out for a while. You have DeAndre Ayton, who is a good player.
Who could be out for a while.
Could be out for a while. You have Landry Shamet, where you don't know if the light bulb is on or if it's off when he starts to shoot the basketball. This is a team now, right now, that is really going to struggle in the upcoming games. Really struggle.
I mean, this team needs wins bad.
Yes.
And I didn't understand last night. You start the fourth quarter, and Cleveland comes out with 3 starters.
Yeah.
And Phoenix, Monty Williams comes out with all bench guys.
Correct.
And Cleveland just went on a run.
Yeah.
And that was the game.
That was it. Where was the counter?
I mean, they went on a 15-2 run.
Yes, and to that point, it's like, okay, Washington's going to do so much. And Landale, thank God he came in and got enough points to at least get him within earshot. They got within 8 points, I think it was. That was as close as they got.
Well,
and that was it.
Yeah, he scored like 14
in 4 minutes.
It was like 10 minutes.
I know.
I know. 14 points in like 10 minutes.
Real quick, you heard Bobby Hurley yesterday. We're kind of transitioning out of guard you to lob you. As yesterday we saw a bunch of alley-oops as Washington lost to the Sun Devils. It was 73-65, and you got to give Cambridge a lot of credit. I mean, the kid just totally dominating, mostly dunks. He's a fun guy to watch, and he dunked the ball 7 times. Several were on lobs, and that seems to be what Hurley's kind of the new moniker for the team. Lob you instead of guard you.
Takes me back to. What was was it not semi-tough? That was the football's semi-pro. Semi-pro, where they invented with coffee black the lob, and coffee kept slamming.
The backdoor screen they were wide open.
I know. Yeah,
the lobathon that was for that game. But you know what? You went on your home court. The scenario is protect your home court, win on that home court, and move on.
Sun Devils are a real deal, man. 13-3, 4-1 in the pack, and Washington's a good team.
They are.
Washington almost beat Arizona.
Beat Arizona. Yeah,
they didn't beat them. It wasn't a 2-point game or something.
No, Washington beat them.
Saturday. Yeah.
So they beat Washington State then. Arizona did, but Washington beat them. Beat Arizona. But the point that I'm making is you want fans to pack that building,
guys. No, so, I was right. Washington State beat
U of A,
not Washington.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let's get it right.
Okay,
yeah, that's right.
So what happened is that you want it at the arena, the Wells Fargo. You want that not only your team to win, you want to entertain as well. So what entertains fans? Dunks.
Well, they got athletes that can finally do that.
There you go.
He's got tall, he's got long.
The key. Yep.
Yeah, that's more the key for him to.
By the way, that Washington State win in Tucson snapped a 28-game home winning streak. That says a lot there in McHale Center. That's a hard place to play. So Washington State, which Sun Devils did beat on Thursday. Let's get to the big news, of course, and that is Cliff Kingsbury is out as the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. No surprise. You're not shocked today when you heard it. I think many people knew it was coming. You just didn't know when, and now we want to find out what's the next step for the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of names are being mentioned. From Sean Payton, who will cost a lot of money because he's still under contract with New Orleans. He's already met, reportedly, with the Broncos. The Broncos are just going to pull up all the trucks from Walmart with money and just give him whatever he wants. Of course, we've heard some others. Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. Mm-hmm. We've heard Bills defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier. Colts former head coach Frank Reich, which I don't mind him being a quarterback. I mean, if you need somebody to work with Kyler Murray,
he can coach. Frank Reich can coach. He just got into a spot with the Indianapolis Colts, and Rudy Carpenter earlier on the show said it best. What's the NFL stand for? Not for long.
Here's the thing. He did a good job with Carson Wentz in their role in Philadelphia.
Yes, he did.
Nick Foles came in, did a phenomenal job with Nick Foles.
Yes.
And Doug Peterson as
something for that. If this is the move that Michael Bidwell wants to make, he's speaking right now to the media. We're going to bring some to you a little bit later We'll catch up with Craig Fooey, who's there, Howard Balzer, who's there. So we'll get both those guys take from what his plan is, and how much is he going to give the media? How much is he going to say? Probably not much, but we will see here in the next few minutes.
A lot of those coaches you throw out there, Rock, they've all been successful. They've all gotten to Super Bowls. They know what it takes to get there. And obviously you got to have that franchise quarterback that's there. And if they feel they can get him to play, being Kyler Murray, like a franchise quarterback, then you better go get a guy that can tutor, that can lead, and not be afraid of Kyler Murray to coach him, not be his friend, not be his peer, to coach him up and not be afraid to do that. And if I'm in that meeting, if I'm going to interview Michael Bidwell, I said, Michael, I'd love this job. Here's my philosophy and strategy with Kyler Murray. I'm not afraid of him. I know what it takes to be successful, and I'll be flexible. But here's some of the things I see he needs to do. We need to do that. And I don't want, and just so you know, Michael, I don't want this tail wagging the dog. I'm going to do it the way I know what it takes. And guys have that on their resume, guys. They've won. They've been there. They've done that. And they know what it takes to win with a franchise quarterback or a potential franchise quarterback.
Do you see a scenario, either one of you, similar to what we saw with Steve Wilkes, which we knew going in that wasn't even going to work? That was just a 1-year deal with him, right? All right. Could you see a situation where they do the same thing with Vance Joseph?
No,
because they don't know the future of Kyler Murray's injury.
No, absolutely not. You got to clean house.
So what will happen when you hear Vance Joseph's been hired?
I'm going to be very disappointed. The fans of theirs at Carnival will be disappointed
because there is a lot of pundits who feel that that's what's going to happen.
I don't get that. I don't understand that. Just because he knows the building, knows Kyler Murray.
Kent Summers on with Jody this morning.
Okay,
he felt that a guy that covers his team more than we do.
We can't continue to enable Kyler Murray. You got to.
I am for you. I agree with you 100,000,000% on that one. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to change.
Then that's Michael Bidwell. If he does, that's a short-sighted approach for his team.
Short.
Yeah, he is.
Short people. Right, Jimmy? You guys got to fight a little harder.
That's why I'm here on this show.
That would be the wrong thing to do in reference to moving this organization forward.
There's still that mom and pop organization that's still there. That reminds me of my days when I worked there, when I was working game days, and Mr. B signed my check, which was for $75 a game to work on the sideline.
Literally signed your
signed
check.
it.
Signed it.
I heard he used to sign the checks for the paper boy.
All of us.
I mean, everything.
Post game, we had the check signed by him, Mr. B.
It wasn't a stamp. No, it was like he's sitting there Monday morning on the 15th,
my God.
and he's just signing away.
Well, and you know what? And Vance Joseph's already getting paid. He's already got a salary, so there's nothing there. Then he'd have to enhance and bring somebody else in.
But who's to say that the DC job open in Cleveland? Is that not a bad job?
Hey, you know
he
what?
Got some talent there.
You sure do.
Maybe he wants to go. Who's to say he wants to stick around?
Well,
right?
On top of that, a head coach versus a coordinator, it's a little bit of a different moniker.
I'm just saying, if he's already going to be out, who's to say whoever they hire, he's not going to probably be the DC, right?
Oh, I mean,
they're not going to retain.
Yeah, not going to retain him.
Yeah,
so what if he, meaning Bidwell, goes out and he hires another coordinator, offensive or defensive coordinator, and he has not been a head coach? Are you guys going to be okay with that or not?
If the guy has been successful, been a part of building something, that's the successful key phrase there.
Okay.
That's able to move in.
Manu.
You talked about
there's 32 jobs. There's got to be a guy out there that has been a head coach before.
But he asked if a Ken Dorsey or Byron Leftwich,
I know,
blah is out there.
And you're saying yes.
Yeah, I'm
saying no.
Yeah,
but
I prefer.
Can you understand my argument?
No, I get you.
There's only 32 teams.
No.
Why learn on the job when Arizona?
No, I get it. I prefer a former head coach in the National Football League,
even if it's a year or two.
You don't want that. You want to build
something. Well, Vance Joseph's got a year under his belt in Denver.
Yeah, no, he's out with the old and with the new. You can't bring a guy in for a year or two or whatever and do that.
I'm just saying, Manuch, if it's better to have someone at least who's been there before a little bit, to be able to handle the day-to-day, because I think the biggest problem Cliff had was he was the head coach and offensive coordinator.
Look what Daboll's did with the Giants. He was a coordinator.
That worked out.
New York, where it worked out. There's been many guys that have been coordinators. Look at McDaniel. Look at Miami. Look at the guys that have gone on. Look at O'Connell in Minnesota. Same thing. First year, gone to the playoffs. Those guys know how to handle that and work that.
Hey, we're going to get into our plays of the week yesterday as well. Continue talking about Cliff Kingsbury out as the Cards head coach. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar to Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Fox Sports 910.
I'm listening to the Bidwell thing right now since it's streaming on Twitter.
You hardly ever hear.
He hasn't
More sports, more Jody. The Drive with Jody Ayler. Now in morning.
All right, guys, you guys are hot.
Fox Sports 910.
All right, let's get to it. Our Valley Chevy dealers' top plays from Sunday's action in the National Football League. Let's get to our first, which started off the entire week, or I should say the entire day, and how fitting it was as the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots were out at it. And, of course, all the love for
Damar
Hamlin, who, by the way, if you have not heard, has been released from the hospital. He is back in Buffalo now, and that is a great sign. So he is hopefully for full recovery from what he had endured the last week as well. It was 7 days ago, huh?
Yep.
But this is how it all started. This is how the game started in Buffalo.
We're underway as New England decided to defer after winning the toss. And here's Hines on the run back, breaking a tackle and taking it past midfield. And down the sideline he goes. This is storybook. An opening kickoff return for Damar Hamlin. And this place is absolutely going wild.
That would be a hell of an experience to be at that with all the emotion and to have a kickoff return. And then this happens a little bit later in the game.
Baltimore short-handed. Here comes Hines again. Oh, my goodness. Can he do it twice? Is this for real? Can you believe it? Even a little Dion strut to the end zone. 101 yards.
Talk about divine intervention.
That is it.
The good Lord smiling, the football God smiling down on the fans, the Buffalo Bills, and the players of the Buffalo Bills.
That was courtesy of CBS. And speaking of smiling down, Chicago fans were very excited when this happened yesterday.
Lines up outside, comes inside, watch him over the middle. Who will pick first in the draft? Mills to the end zone, it's caught. Akins. And the Houston Texans have retaken the lead.
And they go on to win 32-31. Beat the Colts. Houston ends up firing Lovie Smith after go 3-13-1, and Chicago gets the first round pick. I was sitting with a lot of Buffalo Bills fans, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, Houston's gonna win. We got the number 1 pick."
Hey, Lovie.
And the thing is, they don't need a quarterback.
Nope, no, they don't. No, they go build on it. There's that defensive end with the Alabama Crimson Tide that he could get a couple of those guys.
Will Anderson. And that's who would look really good in a Cardinal uniform at number 3.
Well, so would Carter.
Yeah.
With Georgia.
This is where I think people got a little upset with spreads. And this is the end of the Miami Dolphins New York Jets game. The spread was 3.5. Miami had just gone down and kicked a field goal, which was going to be the winner. They were up 9-6. And then this is what happened on the, I think it was the first or second play when after the kickoff.
No D linemen in the game. 11 players in the game out there to defend whatever the Jets draw up. They quickly get it to Garrett Wilson, and now they'll look to get tricky. Back to Joe Flacco. Now Elijah Moore. Need one tackle to get to the playoffs. It's loose, and that'll do the trick. The drought is over.
And what happened was you didn't get to hear the finish of that because no one had it. There was a safety.
Yeah, the ball went out of the end zone.
11-6 was the final. Total WTF for so many people. We had some game-winning field goals yesterday. Let's talk. Here's the one that happened in Carolina over New Orleans.
From 42. This is good. Carolina wins.
Credit ESPN. And then one more as Seattle beats L.A.
First down. And hope springs eternal in Seattle. A 19-16 overtime win keeps Seattle very much alive in the playoffs.
What a bad game. Jason Myers with a 32-yard winning field goal.
The interesting part on that is Jason Myers has only missed 2 field goals all season long, and they get down, and it was a long field goal by 50 yards at the end of regulation, and he hits the upright. which sends it into overtime. Then he get a chance to redeem himself.
But Ramsey helped set that up with the late hit out of bounds to get him into field goal range.
I know.
And there it is. There's your gift. And he misses it, hits the dunk. But yeah, very fortunate. Pete Carroll, another life.
Jamal Williams, our last one, he had a 1-yard TD run, which broke a record, and it broke Barry Sanders' franchise record for touchdowns. Here's how it all went down, courtesy of NBC.
Williams into the end zone. The Lions retake the lead. A record-setting 17th rushing touchdown this season for the former Packer.
He'll be picked up in a lot of leagues next year for fantasy.
I thought Detroit to win 8 out of the last 10.
They're amazing.
4th down and 1. Let's just kick the field goal by 6. No, because we get a first down. We run the clock out.
Yep.
They run a bunch package, and you got the linebacker here. You got the corner out here. This guy is here. Inside guy gets to run to 3 yards. No accountability. Gives it to him. We call that a now route. Gave it to him right now. Bang. Game, set, match. Great call by Dan Campbell. I mean,
now route.
That's now or hot. One or the other. Let's take it now.
That.
Well, basically,
hot route.
Now, either hot now or right now, whatever.
All right, so
because it's taught if that guy's back,
yep,
he's inside, he's outside. He's got to contain the 2 guys here. He just came out of the line of scrimmage, turned around. There it is. Game, set, match.
So now is Detroit for next season the new team to take care of the NFC Central?
Possibly.
Past Minnesota? Are you putting them
Well, I don't know about passing Minnesota. I am interested to see what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's happening in Green Bay.
If he comes back, it could be a 3-horse race. I think Chicago is still behind the 8
They
ball.
will be, yeah.
Hey, our top plays of the week are brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers. Your Valley Chevy dealers serving the Valley for over 80 years. Manuch, I think you would look good in a new 2023 Chevy Trailblazer. Jimmy?
Yes.
A new 2023 Corvette Z.
The Vet Man.
Ooh, man, that's
06.
perfect for me.
Styling.
Yes, got the flat plane V8, 670 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.6. You probably would not. You'd probably be in the air.
Oh, I would.
I mean, you would get out. You would jump right out of your seat. Well, it's never too late to check it out. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer. Head to valleychevydealers.com. Hey, on Thursday, we will make an official announcement on what is going on here at the CAZ Sports Bar and the showroom and Talking Stick for the big game. Yes, we are hosting both locations. It's our 22nd year of hosting the big game. We'll be opening our doors at 2. We'll have more to pass along on Thursday on Talking Stick. That is going to be a lot different this year than years past. I think you'll be pretty excited about that as there's a lot going on at Talking Stick. They got the Shaq's Funhouse with Snoop Dogg. They got the SI Party. There's all kinds of big-time things going on that week, and it's going to all end with us for the big game with some big-time celebrities joining us. Just think, sitting back, watching the big game with someone that, I don't know, maybe won a Heisman Trophy, went on to a big-time career in the National Football League, or maybe somebody that played, I don't know, baseball.
Wow.
Played football. You know, you never know.
Wow. Hint.
So we will have some of that for you on Thursday as we're really excited to share that. Can't wait. Our State 48 Roofing, it's your call question today. What kind of coach do you want to see leading the Cardinals next year? Your 2 choices at Roc and Manuch on Twitter are NFL experience, offensive coach, NFL experience, defensive coach. So no C or D when it comes to all the above or D, college coach. Your choices are NFL offensive coach, NFL defensive coach. Right, Manuch? Is that what you're trying to get across?
Let's just cut and dry. Let's keep this bad boy just cut and dry. Let's go. NFL, you want an offensive mind, you want a defensive mind with NFL experience.
We'll continue talking about Cliff Kingsbury out as the Cardinals head coach. Mark May coming up a little bit later. Howard Balzer, Craig Fouey, Frank Sanders, all still to come as we continue here at the CAZ Sports Bar. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910. marking the first regression in the win-loss column for Cliff Kingsbury. Murray's ACL, of course, hurt the chances of turning this team around towards the end of the year. And it's going to be interesting to see who the next head coach will be and how much input Kyler Murray will have in that hire. Will he be part of it? Will he be part of it? I think he will. I said that last hour.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. I believe Kyler Murray has a lot of pull in this organization, unfortunately.
He's got a lot of pull for doing a whole lot of nothing. That's for sure. Unfortunately,
11 and what, 6 last year?
Okay, but have you? The kid became very inconsistent this year. I thought he regressed as a quarterback this year. And if you're going to be a franchise guy, you might have a so-so year. You never really regress. When you look at all the guys who become franchise quarterback or should be a franchise quarterback. And to that point of having a say in who that coach is going to be, I hope it's to say that somebody that he looks at and goes, that guy can really help me improve, help me with the offense. But you cannot allow Kyler Murray to dictate all the conditions that he wants, because he can't sit on top of that. He can't survive an entire season either. On top of that,
I understand the not for long, the NFL, and what have you done for me lately? But okay, Kyler Murray was named NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay,
he received consecutive Pro Bowls.
The next couple
years after that, right? He led the team to the playoffs last year.
Okay, losing 5 out of 6.
3 out of 4 years. Kyler Murray didn't do a bad job. A lot better than a lot of other quarterbacks that have been here before him.
I give him
everybody
credit.
Piles on because they get in a rut.
No, here's the thing. No, when everything's good, he's good. But when things start to falter, sometimes he can be a fair weather quarterback.
Maybe that's coaching.
Well, whatever it is.
That's why they made a change.
Well, and here's the thing on top of that. Kyler Murray, I thought, the thing that just the whole scenario of Kyler Murray being a leader on the field and off the field, his mannerisms, throwing the ball, how to throw the ball, all the above. There's too much inconsistency with him. It's all good when he's on a roll. But what can Kyler Murray do when things are bad for this team? Kenny, they lose 5 out of the last 6 last year. They go to the playoffs, and he throws up all over the place in that playoff game. A franchise guy or kid that's growing will not do that to you when you get to the playoffs. Take care of the ball, do your best. Okay? Now, he's up, he's down. If he would just be in the middle ground of consistency and stay healthy, you could say he's finally getting there as a franchise guy. Now, I understand he's going to have some say-so in the kind of guy he'd like to see with this team, but I hope that Michael Bidwell doesn't rely on his one and only thought process. Well, we got to adhere to Kyler because he likes this, this, and this. Okay, that's good. But if you're Michael Bidwell and the other individuals on your staff and your personnel say, okay, here's the other things we like, and they blend, that's all well and good. I get it. I understand that. But Kyler Murray say-so alone can't be the guy that you dictate who you hire.
All right,
you just
so
can't.
Let me drop this on you then, because we're talking about a coach now in Cliff Kingsbury who is no longer the head coach. He gets the axe today. The previous year that you were talking about, the number one quarterback deep ball thrower was Kyler Murray.
Okay.
This season, the worst deep ball thrower was Kyler Murray. That's coaching.
Yeah, it's coaching, and I will say this, and I agree with that to a point, Jimmy. But the other thing, too, is his reads and his react. Is he understanding the game plan? Is he understanding the reads? We all talk about the whole clause in his contract. Is he getting the ball down the field? And he had dudes this year to drive the ball down the field, to throw the ball down.
Couldn't you make a case that last year the offensive line was actually one
More
of the better lines that they had in years?
Absolutely.
This year it was a mess because of injuries.
Yes.
Last year, Kyler went 9-5. He started 14 games. We didn't forget he got hurt last year. I mean, a passing rating over 100%. He ran the ball over 423 yards. This year, 418. 3-8 this year and 11 starts. He ran the ball more this year, believe it or not, in the amount of games he was in. Now, but he was 87%. That's not bad. As a career, he's at 92% passing rating. I mean, his numbers are pretty good. Now, you could argue, they paid him too much and this, and that. They should have let him go one more year. But, again, he is, when you really look back at the numbers, and Manuch, you're the numbers guy here.
Yep.
it seems to me that you're throwing out what he's done the 3 years until this year
so
with no offensive line.
The one thing you look at is his yards per average last year and then this year is the as far as throwing the ball down the field. I think he might have been 6.5, 7 last year, which was they get the ball. This year, throwing underneath. You got to look at that high percentage throwing is underneath.
You want the numbers?
Yeah, go ahead.
Passing. First year he averaged 6.9.
Okay, that's what I said.
Then it went 7.1.
Right.
Then last year was 7.9.
Okay.
This year 6.1. Not much of a difference.
So it's come down a little bit.
A yard.
Okay, but here's
yard
the
and a
thing.
half.
But you look at a lot of the successful teams year in and out with the franchise quarterbacks. You're going to see 7.5 to 9 on per average with a lot of those guys getting the ball down the field. Now, the reason why I said it's not good is because look at the receiving core he had. If you're at 6.5 or 6.1, hell, you had D-Hop, you had Hollywood Brown, you had A.J. Green.
Did you?
They weren't on the field.
None of them were on the field at the same time.
I get that, but understand. But
can't believe I'm defending the Cardinals today.
No. I get that. That's good. It's fair challenge. But you also had, more hurt. But as far as getting the ball down the field,
everybody was hurt.
Get it?
Tight ends were hurt. He had no one to throw the ball to.
But here's the thing: if you can get the ball and but my point is he making the right reads to get the ball down the field like he did last year? I get the pass protection. I understand all that.
But if he's got nobody down the field to throw it to,
he had. I'm going to say this to the coaching standpoint: some of the design plays which hindered him getting Dortch down the field, Rondale Moore down the field, Hollywood Brown down the field. Your tight ends. There's the ways you can stretch the field. With the passing offense and to the coaching side, which I was on Cliff, if you're not stretching the field every play, those opportunities aren't there for him. But I will say he had a lot of guys open. Some of the reads he was missing because of being in the pocket or not being to the outside were also part of that equation.
how much you talk about coaches? All right, you lose your line coach and running game coordinator,
right,
in Sean Kugler, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you lost the running backs coach earlier, right?
Yep.
So I mean, there's so much that plays into this, and again, I'm not trying to defend the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's not just.
But I think you can make a case. This isn't all about Kyler.
No, that's. I'm not saying that, guys. I'm just saying that I'm not. I saw regression in Kyler this year. You should
have regression on this entire team.
Well, okay,
he is part of this team.
But what a franchise guy can do, you look what Aaron Rodgers did with the woefulness.
Whoa.
No. Let me finish my point here. You saw what Aaron Rodgers. Let me show you. You saw Aaron Rodgers. Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yeah, look at Aaron Rodgers. Like some of the other franchise guys did with lack of talent, rookie receivers. No line play, whatever, and getting the ball down the field.
There's no way you can make any type of comparison with a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers to a Kyler Murray. To Super Bowl rings, MVPs. Come on,
I get that.
It's a different animal.
I'm talking about talent as a quarterback, reading the right thing to read. That's why I question him about his reads and what he's saying and not saying. But
Aaron Rodgers is one of the best, if not the best.
I get it, right?
Doing that, sits back. It comes so natural to him.
But your franchise quarterback, if he's truly franchise, can overcome a lot of the doldrums, a lot of the injuries, a lot of things you have when you see some of the things that are going on. I get it, man. If you don't have an offensive line that can protect a little bit, all right, roll them out, make those throws, make those runs with your feet. So sometimes I think Kyler Murray waits too long for the guys that are throwing to open versus anticipation. That's why I say development as a quarterback. I saw him regress this year.
But can't you make a case maybe he waits too long, but the offensive line is so bad.
3 minutes.
He doesn't have any time to wait.
Not in every instance.
I would love to know the numbers of how much time he had last year to throw the ball opposed to how much time he had this year to throw.
Well, it was interesting. When they were hitting on all cylinders with the offensive line, and Hudson was the center, kind of leading that charge. They had the running game intact, passing game intact. He could take those shots down the field. This year, he had opportunities. Kyler Murray's not a guy, I don't feel, with the way this Cardinals team was this year, that can at this point win it by putting the game on his shoulders and winning it solely with him. He needs the running game. He needs every receiver intact. And no matter what the line play is up front, he can still make those kind of plays. Now, on top of that, yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, some of the things I saw offensively with all these injuries, I was like, you can't do that. If you're going to keep Kyler successful, all right, short passing game.
2 minutes.
Stretch it, roll him out, utilize him more so than he did this year.
I think the bigger story is I think Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray don't see eye to eye. I think Cliff Kingsbury, who's never been a head coach at this level before, especially dealing with guys that are older. They're not college kids. Couldn't handle the off-field drama, which was a distraction from the time we saw Kyler Murray, scrubbing his account on Instagram and everything else, and then all the off-the-field stuff that happened with the coaches and, of course, their general manager. And there was a lot of backlash throughout this whole season. And being on Hard Knocks, and there was just such a black cloud over this organization.
Yep.
I mean, I think Michael Bidwell made the right decision. It was time for a change. However, I mean, I think Michael Bidwell a year ago at this time was saying, I got my head coach for the next 5 years because I gave him a damn extension.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden this thing blows up in his face that he couldn't control Michael Bidwell. You can't blame him for a lot of this.
Yeah, and I think that from the standpoint of as an organizational piece, the whole Steve Keim thing and what's going on there and the players or lack of players. Here's the other thing too. I think that what Michael Bidwell's got to look at, and this is realistic, guys, is moving forward. You got 28 unrestricted free agents. I think I have another 5 or 6 restricted free agents. This is going to be almost a complete rebuild. And who's that guy that can come in and work with the general manager to go get the kind of players you want to support Kyler Murray?
The best guys they have, who's going to be here? Yeah.
Who's going to be the general manager?
Well, I think that's first.
Yes, it is.
But D-Hop's got one more year.
Yeah, but maybe if he doesn't want to restructure.
Yes.
And then you have Byron Murphy, who arguably got hurt, but he's probably one of the best players. Zach Allen, he had an unbelievable year until he got hurt. Marquise Brown, he's an average receiver.
Yeah, I think
they had to make that move because of the suspension.
And Hollywood Brown will be gone. Robbie Anderson will be gone. I'm not Hollywood Brown. I mean, AJ Green will be gone probably. I can't see them bringing him back. Can't see.
We didn't think he was going to come back last year.
We did. But we can't see him bringing Robbie Anderson back. He did absolutely nothing.
That was a waste of a pick.
It was. So the things are, okay, you've got what's our structure? Got to start with the offensive line. Got to start with your defense. Got to get some guys for Kyler Murray. Running game, support, defensive backfield. You got to build from within. And I can almost tell you that out of 33, 34 guys that are free agents, whether they're unrestricted or restrictor, I mean, good luck trying to get those guys back with this culture.
Hey, shopping for a mortgage? Well, big banks can be a big hassle. Call GC Global Capital. They're a licensed bonded mortgage broker here in the state of Arizona. You can work with a local team of mortgage experts for lower rates, lower fees, more options, and faster closings. Whatever rate you're getting from the bank, GC Global Capital will beat it. A better rate, a better service, lower payments. Buy now before the frenzy starts all over again. Call the pros at GC Global Capital at 480-397-9300. Values have come down over 10%, making it a great time to buy. And find out what you can buy now. Get approved in less than 10 minutes. Call GC Global Capital 480-397-9300. Your local mortgage pros. That's Global Capital 480-397-9300. We'll continue. We're at the CAZ Sports Bar. It's Fox Sports 910.
The annual
with The Drive. Jody Ayler tomorrow morning, 6 to 10 on Fox Sports 910 and on our free iHeartRadio app.
Did you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Did you know that Troy Aikman in only 6 years has passed for 16,303 yards? Did you know the career record for most hits is 4,256 by Pete Rose, who is not in the Hall of Fame?
Do you know that my next door neighbor has 3 rabbits?
Now time for Fox Sports 910's
Guys are hot.
with Jimmy B to give you the random facts of the day driven by your Valley Chevy dealers. Find new roads at your Chevy dealer. For a dealer near you, head to valleychevy.com.
Got the Michael Bidwell sound coming in just a minute, but first, Americans spend almost $100 million a year on the lottery. $100 billion a year on the lottery, which is more than we spend on books, movies, music, video games, and tickets to sporting events combined. And I'm assuming you will all buy your tickets today for tomorrow's estimated jackpot at $1.1 billion, which the cash option is $568.7 million. The drawing is tomorrow at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Excuse me, I'm sorry, 9 p.m.
Okay.
It's 11 p.m. Eastern, so 9.
Do you guys have like a limit on how much you'll buy no matter what?
I bought with a bunch of friends. We bought. Let me see. I just got the text.
He's gonna look. Oh,
Mine's 5. I just $10 worth. That's it.
I do $20.
1, 2, 3.
So you get 10.
4, 5.
Because they're $2 a piece. Jimmy.
Yes.
We just did $100.
Okay.
Now. So I don't know how many you can buy for 100. What is it? Yeah.
You get 50.
50 is that what it is?
Yep.
You get
$2 each.
So Mega Millions is 2. Powerball's 2 as well.
Powerball is like 250, 260.
No, it would be a change.
Yeah, Mega Millions 1.6 billion, and then
No, what I'm saying when you buy a ticket,
they're both $2 a piece.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
250. What?
No,
I don't remember. Yeah, I got 50 cents.
Yeah.
I buy it.
Well, the Powerball jackpot's like 224 million, and this one's Mega's 1.2 billion or something like that.
I was at Fry's this morning, and it's the first time I think I've ever been to a grocery store in quite some time that I got my groceries in a paper bag.
Really? Did you ask for paper or plastic?
They didn't have plastic. They were out of plastic.
Out of it.
Paper bag.
And I had overheard, there was a lot of older people there this morning.
Yeah.
I guess that's the time to go. I'm like, I saw a sign.
why you were there?
I saw a sign. You guys can appreciate this. 55. I guess their senior Fry's are senior day.
Yes.
55 or older. So
Yes.
I got till June, and I'm going to jump on that. Get an extra 10%.
You get a 10% discount.
When they said it, I guess they ran out of plastic. So it was weird to leave with a paper bag. I mean, I don't know how long that's been.
Long time.
A paper bag.
I know. Yeah,
It's crazy in California how screwed up that state is. They don't give you have to pay extra, or you got to bring your own bags.
Yeah, there are people that bring their own bags in. And now
So Michael Bidwell spoke today. Sorry, Manuch. You have something you want to add to the program?
Some places you have to bag your own groceries on top of that. So,
Where?
There are some places like the Sprouts or Whole Foods, that type of thing.
Really? They do that here?
Yeah. Some you have to bag your own. Yeah, if they're not there. Matter of fact, some of the Safeways I go to, shortage on staff. So it's pretty much they check them through.
I love the places that have the special needs kids working. I love that.
Absolutely.
Man.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there was Jerry today, and I said, "Hey, Jerry, how's your day going?" And they're just happy and they're working and making money, and I'm like, "Oh, my God, it breaks my heart." All right, Michael Bidwell spoke today at 2:00. We are going to get a reaction, hopefully at some point today, from Howard Balzer or Fooey or Frank Sanders. Definitely got Mark May at the top of the hour in 7 minutes. But here is Michael Bidwell saying that Kyler Murray will have a say in the process.
Well, we're in communication, and we should be talking later today. We texted and either today or tomorrow, and so absolutely want to get the input of our leaders, including Kyler, and spoken with a number of leaders already.
Who are those other leaders?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to.
I mean, seriously, it was J.J. Watt.
Is it Buda Baker?
Buda Baker, definitely.
Personnel staff. You could have. You have Q Harris. You could have.
I don't know. Players is what he's talking about.
But he said input. He's going to, the input. Hey, Kyler, what would you like to see in a head coach? What are you comfortable with? So they'll give his 5, 6, 7 generals and Murray and maybe a couple other players what would you like to see in a head coach? What are some of the things? What would be your wish list? If I
How
was
cool
to
to be at? How cool would it be to have Michael Bidwell's Rolodex?
Oh my
His
God!
phone, just have his phone for a day, just to be able to text everybody he's ever texted. Hey. Here's Michael on Steve Keim's departure.
Yeah, it was. I don't want to get into details, but I didn't see that coming earlier this year either.
I'm not buying that.
I'm not buying it.
I think
they are so tight.
Yeah,
they are.
I think so tight. He's got to play that role. It's understandable.
My gut, guys, wrong or right. I think he gave Steve Keim the opportunity to resign.
Yeah,
2 minutes.
I do too.
To your point, Rock, they're too good of friends.
And here he is talking about Cliff. This is Michael Bidwell.
We've been working hard, and I've been on and off the phone since early this morning. Had the conversation this morning with Cliff, and spoke last week with Steve about him focusing on his health. Again, want to wish him well, and appreciate all his contributions. So I'm happy to open it up for questions.
He did answer the question about Cliff Kingsbury.
Not really.
He just went on to Steve. He went on to Keim.
And then finally, here's the firing and timeline. This is all, by the way, the sound we appreciate.
That was it, guys.
Oh, that was it. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. I read that wrong. My bad. So that was kind of more on the timeline there, a courtesy of PH and X, as we appreciate the family from PH.
I thought it seemed very, what little you hear there, it just seemed very, coined and very.
He was close to the vest.
Yeah.
He's not going to reveal anything.
Yeah, and whatever reason, I think he feels they must take the high road versus Cliff. It wasn't working out. We're moving on.
Yeah.
Steve Keim, there's some things, he didn't really say with things here, things that just, one of the things I wish him the best.
30.
And move on. So he's not going to give you a whole lot what the intricacies are for the reasons for letting go of both individuals.
We do have a national championship tonight. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar. Great place to watch the game. We're going to look for a place to hang out and bet the game live, even during the game. You can do that here at the CAZ Sports Bar
10
in Casino, Arizona. We'll catch up with Mark May next. Also catch up with Frank Sanders and possibly Howard Balls, Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B.
very stressful break.
Yep.
Not very many producers can do what I do.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Don't hurt
Proudly
yourself,
sponsored
Patrick.
by
I could argue
On-Air
that.
Sports Marketing. And is
Damn,
powered
huh?
by the injury attorneys Lerner and
Remember, I control your mics.
you need a check. Take one call. That's all. 602-977-1900. And always online at lernerandrow.com. Now time for calling
All right, you guys are hot.
Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
Cards Fire head coach Cliff Kingsbury today, less than a
Mark Mayer is
year
ready.
after signing him to an extension through 2027. Join us now with his reaction, Super Bowl champion Mark May on Fox Sports 910. How we doing, Mark? What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Mark, how are we, bud?
Guys, terrific, guys. How you doing? It's a good day for the Cardinals and the fans. At least now they can go in a different direction. Hopefully they can go in the right direction, but I wouldn't count on it. You know, I was going back and doing a little research on the last coaches they've had here, like Vince Tobin, Dave McGinnis, Dennis Green, Ken Wisenhunt did take them to a Super Bowl, B.A. and Cliff. Not a lot of great hires in there. They've been to like 6 playoff games, I think, since they've been in the Valley in over 30 years. You know, this is what it is. This is what the Cardinals is. Everybody always has high hope for them. When they hired Cliff Kingsbury, I said the guy's the college coach. He didn't do well at his alma mater. He got fired there. In the second half of his games in every season, everybody figured him out, his offense out, and they were terrible in the second half. So what happens? They get to the pros, the exact same thing happens. Kyler Murray, when they draft him, what did I say? He's diminutive. He's small. Yes, he's fast and quick, but in the NFL, you can't take hits like that. He's not going to be able to take them. He's gotten injured every single year, and this year he got injured and blew his ACL out in his meniscus and didn't even get touched on the play. So you just look at the facts that are out there, and everybody in the Valley, I know you've got high hopes for this team, and you're all in all the time, but look at the facts and the history of this organization. They're dysfunctional.
Now that Steve Keim is gone, or stepped down, or so they say, has stepped down, was that the main culprit for those hirings and a more push from the inside out, you think, Mark?
I think a lot of it has to do with Steve Keim. If you look at this roster, look how many free agents are available. Look at all the older players on this roster. To build an NFL roster, you do it through the draft. You do it through young players. You replenish your team with the draft. The draft has been horrible for this football team. If you go back and look at the last 8 or 10 years, the draft has been terrible. You know, they've had a couple of guys, a couple of hits here and there, but you can't have a couple of hits. You've got to hit some home runs all the time. Look at Seattle's draft this past year. They had 6 rookie starters on Seattle's football team that made the playoffs. So if you're looking at building a team, get a general manager that can do it and stop hiring within your own organization. You've got people on this staff that have been there since I played there, and I played there in the early 1990s, and they're still there.
So if you want the GM, who I guess Bidwell has indicated he wants to hire the GM first, where are you shopping? Are you shopping at like Kmart, or are you going to go to an upscale store and spend money?
Like Kohl's.
Shopping at the dollar store, baby. You're shopping at the Dollar Tree, that's all. But the thing is, if you look at this, he's got to hire a general manager. So if he promotes somebody within, it's the same thing over and over and over again. You're hiring people within the organization. You're not going out and finding new blood, so you're going to have that guy hire your next coach. Well, you know you're going to have input. If you meet with Cliff Kingsbury on a daily basis during the season, you are going to have input in hiring the next coach, not the next general manager. So he can stop drawing the line right there.
Mark, can we go back in time here and we can say, hey, there has been some good hires initially. Dennis Green, that was a big hire at the time. Cliff King or Wisenhunt, I thought was a big hire at the time. Now they all kind of worked out, didn't work out in their own reasons for that, but they have missed a lot. But they've kind of hit pretty good. Arians was a good hire. I mean, they've done all right. So why do we do?
Here and there.
So why do you feel like they can't turn this thing around, or you know, what do you think they need to do to actually get some guy in here that could be here longer than 6 years? Because they've never had that.
You know what? This is what you do. You go out and hire the best available general manager out there with no ties to this organization whatsoever.
Okay.
You back off. You let him hire his own staff, bring in his own scouts, bring in his own personnel, bring in his own medical staff, bring in his own equipment staff, bring in his own weight training staff, because those guys have been here since I played there, and you clean this out. When you get a job for the Cardinals, you've got a job for life. And that's got to change. And until it changes, you're not going to have success. You continue to do the same things over and over again without success. Guess what? That's insanity. So do something different and let that person run. When I was drafted by the Washington Redskins, they hired Bobby Beathard. Jack Ken Cook said, Bobby Beathard, go out and find me a head coach. He found Joe Gibbs. Jack Ken Cook was an owner that didn't have his hands meddling in everything. All he wanted to do was win. You need new weights? Hey, you get new weight equipment. You need new equipment in the training room? That's what you get. You get the best that's out there, and back off and sign the checks. And guess what? Let them do their job. And if they're not capable of doing it, you'll find somebody else that is. But if you put your trust in somebody that's had a track record in the National Football League that's had success, guess what? You're probably going to have success here if you give him a chance and if you're patient enough and let him bring in his own personnel.
We're going to have a lot of time to talk about this offseason, but I really want to get your thoughts on tonight's game with TCU and Georgia. We're going to see a repeat?
It's probably going to be a repeat, but it's going to be a lot closer than most people think. And don't be shocked if TCU's right in their battle until the end. Think about this, guys. If you look at Georgia, everybody talks about Georgia's defense. They had a great defense last year. 5 guys drafted in the first round. They're terrific this year. Go back and look at the numbers of the last 2 games. In the SEC championship game and in the playoff game, they've given up a total of 71 points, 850 yards passing in those 2 games alone. So you tell me if you're TCU and you're Sonny Dykes, you don't think you're going to rev up that passing game with Quentin Johnson at 6'4" on the outside, catching balls all over the place? And the other thing is everybody's worried about the running back. Kendra Miller, he had 17 rushing touchdowns, almost 1,400 yards. Here's the key. His backup, Amari DiMarcano, had 17 touches, 150 yards and a touchdown against Michigan's defense, which is a pretty doggone good defense. So the injuries in this game, Darnell Washington, the tight end, it looks like he might have a chance to go and play at least a handful of plays in this game. He's going to be an NFL first-round pick at 6'7", 270 pounds. You look at 2 good experienced quarterbacks that have been through tough situations throughout their career and has managed them and overcome issues in their situation. The hard issue with Max Duggan, he started off as a backup this year. Look at Spencer Bennett, the quarterback for Georgia. He was a walk-on. He went to JC school. He went to small school, transferred back to Georgia, and they put him as their 16 quarterback at one time and just said, you're not going to play here. And the guy won him a national championship and may repeat again this year and give him 2. I look at this game for Georgia to run the ball. They've got three running backs over 550 yards. They'll probably try to pound that 3-3-5 defense at TCU and wear them down. And in the fourth quarter, that's when Georgia's been really good. In the playoff game last year, they threw 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter against Alabama. And if you go back to the last game against Ohio State, they were huge in the fourth quarter, down a bunch of touchdowns and came back and did it again in the fourth quarter. And that's what Kirby Smart does. They practice for the fourth quarter in games. So this game will probably be close throughout, but I look at Georgia to pull away in the fourth.
Mark, if this game does get into a shootout, who are you going to favor? Because you watch TCU go the full 60 minutes against Michigan, and then you watched them during the year. They kind of have to come back. So when you watch TCU as of last week, and it gets into a shootout, who are you going to lean in favor for?
You got to go with Georgia because of the experience at the quarterback position with Spencer Bennett and the players that they have. They lose their tight end last game against Ohio State, and they've got a wide receiver, Arian Smith, that is nothing but a burner. He had 3 receptions the entire season long. He had 3 receptions against Ohio State for 129 yards and a touchdown. So they've got talent there. What I'm worried about Georgia is not this year. I'm worried about next year. They're going to have to find a quarterback, but besides that, they've got just about everybody coming back on this football team next year. They've got like 17 players returning. So this is a football team that's built for the long haul. I look at Georgia. It's going to be a great game to watch tonight. And if it's half as good as the playoff games that we've already seen, it's going to be a heck of a championship game.
It's Alabama, it's Georgia, it's Ohio State, Clemson. They're teams that we typically see in this game. Is TCU, which is their first time here, are they a new face in college football that we'll see year after year?
I think they're going to be there because once you get there, all the recruits are going to want to come there. And if you look at this team, the way they were built through the transfer portal. And when you look at TCU's offensive line, and that's what I look at in games like this, their offensive line, they've got a heck of an offensive line. They're big, they're physical, they're athletic, they can get it done. And everybody talks about TCU's never been there. TCU's won a Rose Bowl. They won a Fiesta Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Under Gary Patterson, they were pretty doggone good. Yeah. They should have been in a championship game a few years ago. So this is not one of those sleeping, slow-ended teams that are out there that you're not looking at that can play for championships. It's not Cinderella. This team has been there. They've got a pedigree that says they can play in big game situations.
So who's the common denominator for TCU to win, or who's the common denominator for Georgia to win?
I think when I look at TCU, it's got to be their wide receiver, Quentin Johnson, because he's their bell cow on the outside. 6'4", he's tough to guard. Ringo will probably cover him, but it's going to be a great matchup. Ringo's been struggling covering, and their pass defense has been atrocious the last 2 games, so he's going to be big in the passing game. And on the other side of the ball for Georgia, you've got to look at what they can do inside, and I think that's going to be key. I think when you watch Georgia and you watch what they do, particularly, they've got to find a way to stop the run first and foremost. If they can do that, they're going to have a pretty good chance in this football game. So looking at that, going at this, I'm going to say probably Arian Smith, maybe their wide receiver that had a big game his last game. He's going to have to play big for them and come up with some big plays. The tight ends are going to be big in this game. That Darnell Washington, he's got that injury to his ankle, so he's going to be out. But, Brock Bowers is one of the best tight ends in the country, not really big. He's like 6'4", 230 pounds, but he could catch the ball and make big plays. So he's going to be instrumental in this game plan also.
It's so crazy, Marky, if you think about TCU. They were in the WAC, then they went to Conference USA, Then they were in the Mountain West, and then it hasn't been that long since they've been in the Big 12. And here they are. You got to give Gary Patton all the credit in the world to get them where they are. But Sonny Dykes hasn't missed a beat here, and this is a remarkable story. I don't necessarily think it's a Cinderella story. Do you? I mean, I think if you knew who they were, you knew this wasn't really the case.
Yeah, if you just go back and look at their history and some of the big games that they played in and big bowl games that they played in, not only played in and won and had success, this is a team that's got that pedigree, as I mentioned before, so they're not a big surprise. Everybody's saying, well, they're a double-digit underdog. Well, when a point spread opened up at 14, it automatically dropped down to 12. You want to know why? 12.5. Because all the sharps in Vegas jumped on TCU in the 14 points. So that tells me a lot that they believe that they can play with Georgia in this football game.
Mark, as always, man, thanks for the time. Appreciate it, bud.
You got it, guys. Have a good one.
That's Mark May joining us here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, breaking down tonight's game. You can always follow him on Twitter at Mark_May, or is it Marky Mark?
It's at Mark_May.
Okay, just check.
Marky Mark
and the funky.
I'm just looking at what Manuch wrote on the lineup. He's got Mark_Mark. So I was like, I know that can't be right.
Yeah.
That can't be right. Anyway, hey, we're trying to track down Craig Fouie, who was at this at the presser with Michael Bidwell. If we get him, great. But in the meantime, we'll bring back some of the sound we have from that we'll pass along next as we continue on from the CAZ Sports Bar. It's Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
Meant for mornings. The Drive with Jody Ayler. Listen tomorrow, 6 to 10 on Fox Sports.
Guys are hot. Balls is ready.
Howard Balzer now joins us after a very busy day for him, as Michael Bidwell spoke about an hour and 15 minutes ago regarding the departure of Steve Keim and the firing of Cliff Kingsbury. He joins us now on the right to the guest line. Any big surprises, takeaways from what you heard from Michael? Anything that kind of stood out other than, what we normally hear from him, more of a canned type response to things like this?
Yeah. Well, what really stood out is we're really glad that he's casting a wide net for potential candidates, which he said numerous times. I've also been pouring through the record book to find the time that the Cardinals were 12-2, which he referred to numerous times during the press conference, when of course they were only 10-2. But I mean, yeah, like you said, there really wasn't much. He dodged my question about whether he wonders if GMs or coaches, that some of them will wonder about the sustainability of a Kyler Murray style quarterback. And he said, and that was one of the times he said, well, we were 12-2 and, on fire and all that. And I said, when he was healthy. And then he just said, well, he's going to get healthy and we expect him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So, once again, it's more of the same. I haven't been here, I have to admit, through, in past situations. I would guess it's not that much different. And it goes along with the pattern of this organization. I'll just say, I know there's a lot of people who agreed with firing Cliff Kingsbury. I get why people wanted that. But the guys' Cardinal history is filled with coaches that had done a pretty good job, had things going in the right direction, then had a, quote, step-back season. And after that step-back season, they got fired. And that's happened on several occasions. And one of the reasons why this franchise never, in over 100 years of existence, has had a head coach for more than 6 years. Someone asked Michael Bidwell about that, and he says, well, I'm looking forward to this next one to be the head coach for a long, long time. Well, that's easy to say, but let's see what the reality of the situation becomes and whether they'll be capable of doing that.
Howard, I'm just curious, and very canned, and to your point, we've heard a couple of clips, but I mean, you look at losing the last 9 out of 10, but you think you took a hard look at good, bad, or indifferent. This team lost 18 of the last 23 that might have said it, and not so much them losing, but the way they were losing, injuries, this, that, whatever, the consistency and the way they were losing. Did he answer that, or anybody ask him that in particular?
Well, he wasn't asked that specifically, but he referred to it. And he referred to this season as regressing and getting the most out of players and all those things. And again, talked about what their record was at one point last year, and then it stopped. Well, I think anyone who looks at this objectively understands why it stopped. And one of those reasons was Kyler Murray last year, as it was the year before, playing injured near the end of the season. And now this guy has had, and I believe, guys, that this is the elephant in the room that many don't want to talk about and address, is the style of quarterback that Kyler Murray is that sustainable in the NFL? He's had 6 injuries in 4 seasons, and 5 of them are to his legs. And we know how important his legs are to his game. And so I think that's one of the aspects of this. This year he was hurt twice, and of course now is on injured reserve. They had all the stuff going on around him. He referred to the factors that happened to us and said this year we had a lot of bad breaks, but I think it's time for a change.
Howard, I want to follow up with that. Did he say that he is indeed going to hire a new general manager first and let the GM hire the coach, or did he get into any other conversation?
He did say that his preference is to hire the GM first, but it doesn't necessarily preclude the coach being hired first, which of course begs the question of, well, how do you know then the general manager that you might want to hire is going to like the coach that you hired, because we all know that the relationship and the working relationship between a head coach and a general manager is vital in any football organization. Now, could it be one of these things where maybe he doesn't have a general manager? Yeah, personally, I think Sean Payton is a pipe dream. But if all of a sudden there's the opportunity to hire Sean Payton and you don't have a GM yet, well, then maybe you go ahead and pull the trigger, but you would likely then have Sean Payton involved in the talks with whoever you're going to hire as a general manager. So, there's a lot of moving pieces to all that. So, but again, it's hard to predict how it's all going to go. If at the end of the day, though, they end up with first-timers as a head coach and first-timers as a general manager, guys who have experience coaching and personnel but haven't done that top job, they might be very impressive. Everybody speaks highly of them, impressive in interviews. But that doesn't mean it's going to be successful. I had someone push back to me the other day talking about, well, look at the Lions. They cleaned house and they brought in 2 external candidates, and look what they did. Well, guess what? They did the same thing before the current guys when they hired Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, and that didn't work. The reality is, guys, in the NFL, where it's so darn hard to win, it's a crapshoot when you're hiring people. And a lot of things have to go right beyond what those guys do for a team to be successful, because it's hard to win in this league. And I wonder if Michael Bidwell truly understands that. And so, we'll see. I'm sure they'll end up hiring guys that they think are very qualified. Will it work? That will be the question that we won't have an answer to for a while.
Howard Balzer joining us here, Fox Sports 910, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Howard, how much say will Kyler Murray have in this decision, you think?
He claimed that, he's talking to the team's leaders, and Kyler Murray is one of them. I don't think there's going to be, he's still going to make the decision. He'll listen to other people. Well, I can't believe that all of a sudden, I want this guy as head coach. I don't even know how he would be qualified to talk about a general manager. So, but Michael Bidwell did say he's talking to the team leaders. And when he talked about talking with Kyler, I asked him the question about, is it your hope or expectation that he will do his rehab here in Arizona? And he says, that's what we want to see. Well, let's see if that occurs. Because here's the reality, guys. There's gonna be a wholesale change in this offense. The only way there won't be a change in the offense
2 minutes
is if Vance Joseph gets the job, and I don't rule that out, and then he decides to keep the young up-and-comers, Spencer Whipple and Cam Turner, to keep the offense, the scheme in place, let those guys tweak it and work with it, but at least they'll have continuity. If that doesn't happen, there's going to be a new offensive system. And guess what? Kyler Murray won't even be able to practice in that system until probably October at the earliest. But he better be around in the off season to start learning that system while he's rehab. And so I think all those things become very, very important to the future success of this team. And let's be real, guys. Look at the history. How successful has this franchise been? There's been little flashes of it, but never true consistency. The one consistency in the organization is the name of the person who owns the team.
He's Howard Balzer. You get more on what he just told us and more at his Twitter page at 8Balzer721 and part of GoPHX. And he joined us, and we appreciate your time. Thanks, Howard, man. We'll talk to you a little later in the week.
My pleasure. I'll have a story up later about this whole process, the history of the team, and in this whole coaching endeavor. I think it'll be an interesting one for everyone to read at gophnx.com.
He's Howard Balzer, longtime sportscaster. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. He was one of the first anchors on ESPN.
That's right.
Back in 1981.
For the NFL draft. He was their draft insider, and he did that for a couple of years.
Frank Sanders will join us next to continue talking about this and more as we continue on from the CAZ Sports Bar. It's Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B.
Sanders caught it! Touchdown, Auburn! Touchdown, Auburn!
Frank Sanders joins Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch now on
Guys are hot.
Sports 910.
No Frank Sanders. Trying to track him down. But we love his open so much.
We played
we
it.
want to play it anyway. But let's get to some of what Michael Bidwell had to say today as he spoke to the press about 2 o'clock today. And it'll start from the top from our show sheet, guys. Let's start with they all praise the coach when they fire him. Here he is praising Cliff Kingsbury.
I don't know if there was a disconnect. There was just performance on the field. I think he put in maximum effort. He was in here, as I said earlier. Throughout my lifetime, I've never seen a coach put in more time. And there were just a lot of bad breaks this year, and I think we got to the point to where it was just time for a change.
When I hear that the time for change, things weren't working out. Yeah, it was all good. I think Michael just got tired of the inconsistently being bad, the same old. We can talk about Groundhog Day. Just didn't see the progress I felt that this team needed to make. And I think the other thing he looked at was the consistency in the losses from last year. I think the main point there, really, he had the last 18 out of the last 23 games were losses. He had enough.
Frank Sanders does join us now on the right to it guest side. How we doing, Frank? Any surprise? Are you surprised at all today that Cliff was dismissed?
Absolutely, I was surprised because I didn't know if Mike had the gumption to fire a guy he just gave an extension to. But I'm absolutely thankful that he had the gumption to fire a guy whose record has reflected that he needs to make a change.
So we move forward. GM first, right? It has to go down that way.
I would assume that you have to go that way, just because because you at least want to establish a relationship with the guy that you're going to be choosing a head coach or coming in agreement with what direction you want this team to go with. So I would assume that the general manager is a point that you want to take. But if Mike has in his little back pocket a list of names that he already know that he's ready to hire in the next couple of weeks, then the head coaches, the head coach that he wants to bring in, he should probably make that decision.
All right, Frank. So that brings me to this: does he stay in-house then with Joseph, or does he bring in brand new blood in the coaching and in the front office?
Without a doubt, he needs to make a change. Without a doubt, we can't keep dealing with this tortilla soup.
No,
we need something a little bit more different. We need new chefs. We need a whole new cook. We need a whole new staff to come in. And I say that respectfully. Look, there's a lot of good coaches on some staffs that get the bad rap, and they just kind of have to ride the wave with what's taking place at top. But in reality, the mentality, what's been taking place in this organization for the last 4 years, what the fan base has been dealt and had to deal with, and just watching the lack of performance on the field, the lack of the ability to maximize the talent of these guys. The decisions need to be made where the new people that come in, they need to have the power and authority to make good decisions with.
And I think that's the key right there, Frank, that if I'm coming in, I look at Michael Bidwell in the eye and said, look, I'm coming from a very successful team, whatever team that is, whether you're a coordinator, you're a former head coach, whatever it is, and you put your track record out there, I would demand, working with Michael, that you allow me to do my job because I know how to build a franchise that's been successful. It's gone to Super Bowls or gone to playoffs on a consistent basis. You think Michael Bidwell has that? You talk about gumption. You think he's got the cojones, pelotas, whatever you want to call it, to make that move, to allow somebody to do that and take the keys?
Look, I would, after watching what's taking place the last 4 years, the conversation got to lead back to who made the decision for Cliff, who pulled the trigger on letting some of our top players go. You have to start looking back at the contractual situations that took place. What guys were, who was the man that was absolutely making these decisions and choices. And so once you get to that place, the next coach that's coming in, he will be arguing for his own position and his own rights and what needs to take place. I myself would like to see the coach, whoever they bring in, have the authority, man, to that Mike would open the checkbook open to him
and allow him to put together a team that he feels comfortable with.
All right. Bidwell, during the news conference, indicated that they're going to talk to Kyler Murray and get his input as well. As a former player, does that sit well with you that the player's giving input? And how much will that carry?
I'm absolutely okay with the fact that, if Kyler has the right to make decisions or he can give his input. Look, as a quarterback, you know what works for you, you know what doesn't work for you. At the end of the day, you got to look at the bigger picture. If he has that ability to take those things into consideration, then I think that's okay. But again, it's just a seat at the table. Remember what we dealt with the last couple of years in regards to the fact that through the NFL, certain quarterbacks didn't have the right were not asked questions, and how they were offended by that and how it bothered them because management didn't come talk to them. I mean, that's something that we can say it to be something important, or we don't have to say it's something important. But if the player is asking for that, I think that's you don't lose anything. You gain something by the fact that, hey, he was able to talk to the coach, he was able to talk to the guy. If they had some rapport, that's great. But at the end of the day, Jimmy B, the owner is going to make a decision along with the general managers that he decides. At the end of the day, you got to have a bigger picture between your quarterback making $50 million and the other $375 million that need to be discussed when it comes to the salary cap.
So, Frank, when someone says the end of the day, is that 5 o'clock, or is it when it gets dark, or is it midnight? What is the end of the day?
When you get tired of repeating yourself over and over and over again and you're not getting nowhere, then you say, you know what, boo? At the end of the day, I got to make the decision. I got to pay these bills. So that's the end of the day when you get tired of talking.
Well, my day never ends because I never get tired of talking myself, Frank.
No, we know that.
But at the end of the day, Frank, what do you see as an individual coach / GM, knowing what you got Kyler Murray, you got a few guys on this team as far as rebuilding this foundation, rebuilding this culture? There's a lot of rebuilding, Coach. I mean, you got 28 to 30 some free agents, restricted, unrestricted.
Yeah.
You got to deal with. What could you see? What would you like to see as that individual or individuals to retool this team? You being an alumnus.
You know what? I would love to see us be aggressive. Last year in the offseason, we were horrible. We were late to the table. We delayed everything. The only thing that we got done in the offseason was we re-upped it on two coaches, or our coach, Cliff Kingsbury, and Steve Kimes, and everybody else was patiently sitting at the table. And to me, I think that would be a disservice to the guys that are here and the guys that you want to establish to get into this locker room early. For the young guys that we drafted that we saw this year, those guys need to have a good indication of what's taking place with this team. New leadership. Go out and get some veterans that you need to be aggressive with. Bringing them in contractually. Get this thing rolling. Whenever the new coach you bring in, he's going to want players. He's not going to want to figure out that we need to figure out that the cover's there, and that you don't have any players that you can easily turn to and say, hey, I can make something out of this right here. Right now, we got 24 guys that are not there that are free agents. It feels bad. And let me just say this here. You got to feel bad as a player in the locker room right now, and you look at the success of Christian Kirk, and you look at Jordan Hicks, and then you go back and you look at Hassan Reddick and what these guys are doing in the NFL right now, how they're still out making plays when they were on your team. So any coach that comes in as a former player, they need to make moves and go get players. And outside of that, my man, we got to figure out how to get this team to become a team and get our fan base back on board.
Frank, I'm real curious then, after you just referenced those guys, what are they going to do with DeAndre Hopkins? Is there a possibility of a trade option here where they could probably get draft picks and maybe even another player on the team, or do they just sit tight?
I believe you have to have an open ear. I think you have to have an open ear to see what you can get from it if the numbers are right. But if the numbers are bad, then you got to absorb the fact that you got an older receiver who's had a couple of leg problems in the last couple of years. You need to get him healthy. But I think this here, without a doubt, if you give him a situation where he has a quarterback and a system where he feels like he's being featured and he's getting the opportunity to go out and play and make the plays that he know he can make, then it's hard to let him go. And so if I'm the Cardinals, I got my ears open. I'm listening to every option. I'm even talking to D Hops. Do you want to be here?
Sure.
Like, that's where you really want to get. That's where you want to sit at the table with first. You want to sit down and say, "Hey, do you really want to be here?" I mean, you owe him that right. He came here, he balled, he gave you what he could. The system didn't work. It didn't work for him. A couple of knee injuries, a couple of things here, but at the end of the day, you got a player that you potentially can move around and be open with that. I think if Mike listens to him and that's what he wants to do, you get an honest answer. Remember this, guys. For the years that Larry was here, Mike and Larry had a conversation every year about what do you want to do with your contract. And I think that's something that D Hops can have with him based upon the fact of his time and tenure in the NFL. Plus, he makes $30 million.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Get a loan. Frank, as always, buddy, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for the time.
Appreciate you, brothers. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Frank Sanders joining us here on the Right to It. I guess I'm part of the Go PHNX family, and that's where we got our sound today. So check it out, Go PHNX. Coming up, we're going to finish off last few comments regarding today's firing and what we're going to dive into the rest of the week because it's just getting started now. We didn't even get an opportunity to talk about all the other stories in sports that we missed today regarding, at least locally, when it comes to the Suns being under 500, the Yotes continue to lose, just on and on, but some positive at Arizona State and their basketball program. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 9.
Lerner and
Yeah, I'm gonna do
That's all.
Bidwell saying he's willing to pay the price for the best coach.
Service law firm. Just make one call. That's all. 602-977-1900. Lerner and Rowe, voted Arizona's best law firm.
Well, what I'm willing to do financially is get the best coach and the best GM. I don't know the biggest name correlates to the best coach. So I guess what I would say is I definitely want to make sure that we get the best coach and the best general manager for this team and get this team turned around as fast.
Guys are hot.
That is Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell earlier today talking about the axing of the coach and relieving the duties of the general manager in Steve Keim as well. That is our Lerner and Rowe one call. That's it. Just one call. That's all. If you're in a wreck, you can always go to lernerandrowe.com and they can help you, and you get a free consultation as well. Once again, one call. That's all. 602-977-1900. Now, let's get to What's on Tap.
What's on Tap, powered by 72 Soul. A look at the top sports action tonight on TV. Get our price, a higher price at 72soul.com.
Well, there's really only one thing your eyes should be glued on. That's the CFB Playoff National Championship tonight.
Yep.
Number 3 TCU at 13-1 taking on the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs without Uga, by the way.
Oh.
The kickoff will be that's at basically at 5:30 our time. You can come over here at the CAZ Sports Bar and book. Come on here. We will not be hosting, but we'd highly recommend that you come in here and watch the game. So it's going to be a good game. That'll be from SoFi Stadium. A little rainy going on there over in California right now. So that's What's on Tap, powered every day on Roc and Manuch. Jimmy B, America's leading home selling program, 72 Sold. Everyone knows the home sales market is getting tougher. The number of sales are down. Prices are down. But 72 Sold is getting top dollar for their customers. You're making a mistake if you go to the traditional way. Go to 72sold.com and get your price, a higher price. 72 Sold at 72sold.com.
All right. All I can tell you right now, Manuch, is in your wise wisdom of being a former NFL player, it is time for the State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day.
That question being, what must, pretty much, when you look at this Arizona Cardinals team, and a lot of the folks out there going offense and defense, what's it basically going to be. So our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day, what kind of coach do you want to see leading the Cardinals next year? What kind of coach? Your options are, still go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter. An NFL offensive mind or an NFL defensive mind? When I say NFL experienced offensive mind. NFL experienced defensive mind. Well, the people have spoken, but you can still go online at Roc and Manuch. 78.6% want a offensive mind, and 21.4% want a defensive mind. Quite frankly, I voted for an offensive mind. There's a lot of really good offensive minds, former head coaches. There are current offensive coordinators that are out there that are outstanding offensive minds. But, guys, the one piece we have to remember, you have to have those pieces in place. You got to have players on that team. You got to have dudes on that team. And a great offensive mind can only do so much. I truly believe that defense wins championships. Mixed with that running game and a good passing game. You got to have a great passing game. But you better have a solid, if not franchise quarterback that's going to be leading the charge. I am not convinced in watching Kyler Murray the last 4 years that he is truly a true sense of the word a franchise quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. What I think Michael Bidwell needs to do, and with input from his staff, his people, players, whomever, if you're going to get an offensive mind coach, that he understands what can he do to make Kyler Murray more consistent, not put him so much in harm's way all the time as far as running the ball. See RG3, see some of the other running quarterbacks that have been broken down, and see what they can do to make him a better quarterback overall so he can sustain that the high mark of excellence, I like to say, and take a team on a consistent basis and not get hurt year in and year out, and make sure that those tangibles are in place if you're going to hire that new head coach.
All right, let me drop this on you then. When you talk about experience, they already had a coach who was a head coach in college and was supposed to be this terrific offensive mind.
Let me
guru.
stop you there.
Okay.
NFL experience.
Okay.
NFL experience, period.
Okay.
End of sentence. Don't waste your breath, Jimmy.
All right.
And I think you just move on. You got to have a guy that understands the NFL game. It was time after time after time after time that Cliff Kingsbury would do things. You scratch your head and went, you can't do that. You can't continue to go down in 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and give up points in the National Football League. Anytime you get a chance to get points, you need those. It's so hard to win in the National Football League, especially if you don't have house money. If you're injured, you're banged up, you ain't got the offensive line, you ain't got this, you ain't got that, then get the 3 points. On top of that, you can't give up field position. 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and the ball's on your own 48 or the other opponent's 48. You give them a short field to go down. Punt the ball away. Give them the long distance. The irrationality of play calling by Cliff Kingsbury to be that gunslinger mentality, it can't work in the National Football League. The Cardinals went for it more times than not in the National Football League. I think over 40 times this last year. You can't consistently do that. Now, if you got dudes and everybody's healthy and all hands on deck, then you got a pretty high percentage.
But they weren't healthy even in
That's what I said.
Camp. They weren't healthy at all.
Keith Frazier, Jimmy, stop again, Jimmy. Keith Frazier again. If. Well, there's no need to argue because it doesn't make any sense to argue that because they weren't there. That stuff just wasn't there. And I mean, this play, that play. Let me give you a case in point.
Okay.
Let me give you another one. One of many. 3rd down and about a half a yard.
Yep.
You got a guy that's averaging 5.5 yards per carry.
I know where this is
James
going.
Conner.
Yes.
James Conner, home game.
Against the Chargers.
You
Remember that. I was there.
There you go.
You get a first down. It might be game, set, match, or you go down and get another 3 points. You get cute, which he did a lot. Okay, that's well and good in college. Hell, you couldn't win in college when you got cute.
No, he did.
He got cute. Did the fake dive and the pitch out to Ingram, which was a high pitch. They probably don't practice much. By the way, it's Ingram's first or second play of the game, and it's a fumble. Chargers get the ball. They go down and score. They get the ball again, go down and score, and get a 2-point conversion. Game, set, match. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You can't put your team in those kind of situations when you have a guy who's averaging 5.5 yards per carry.
How many was that again?
5.5 yards per carry. Get the first down. So I think Cliff tried to put his mark in certain situations. There's no need to.
Right.
Just win the damn game.
Okay.
That's all you got to do.
Do you think the next head coach will implement under center with Kyler Murray, or will he stay in shotgun what he's comfortable with?
I think with them, they're going to have to implement under
That's
center.
what I think, too. They have to.
He's going to have to develop a more physical team on the offensive side, a more physical team on the defensive side. I get rid of the 3-4. You'll go to a 4-3 front with 3 outstanding linebackers. I'd make sure that Isaiah Simmons is either out as a will backer. He's not a safety.
Yep.
He's not a Swiss Army knife. He's a will linebacker. I would define positions. I would define physicality. I would have a more defined Arizona Cardinals team as a new GM and new head coach and be a physical team, especially if things go wrong. You're physical and not be this finesse team that they've turned into. I think that takes a lot of pressure off of Kyler Murray as well as a quarterback.
All right. College football championship tonight. Jax, who you got?
I got TCU to cover. But I think Georgia wins. I'd love to see TCU win, though.
Guys, I'm going Horned Frogs all the way. The whole 60 minutes, I think it's just their time. They got the weapons. If they get a few stops on the defensive side and put pressure all over Stetson Bennett, the 28-year-old Stetson Bennett, the 10-year veteran, put stops. I got TCU, the Horned Frogs, taking it all away because the Wildcats got it prepared for this game. Who you got?
10. I got Georgia tonight, but I'm like Jax. I would love to see TCU win. I really would. Come on out to the CAZ Sports Bar and watch it all tonight.